Let's get this over with.
Oh, snap.
Welcome to Born to be Cosmo, a podcast about all things Marvel Snap. We're here on our usual time of Friday night because we don't have a usual time anymore. Mostly my fault. It's been a busy summer. We all got things going on, but we still want to get together to talk about Snap. But because it's a Friday, we are joined by a very special guest, the one and only ElectricSheepCity. Welcome to the pod.
Yes! We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Howdy, friends. Happy to join you this Friday evening. That sounded like a comma, but it was a period.
Happy to have you. It's great. I'm really excited to have you as fellow Marvel enthusiast and podcaster, but also to get a different perspective, because I think sometimes we all look at the game a little bit differently, but I know that you've kind of haven't played it a little bit and getting back into it, or just a different experience. And so I'm really curious about your perspective on a lot of this stuff.
An experience that probably is more in line with the majority. We're like that hyper engaged, hyper passionate player base. I found a positive word to describe our feelings. But yeah, I think that what we saw this week was some very interesting things that we're going to get into. But the amount of players out there that are kind of waiting to engage with the game, I think exceeded even our most optimistic impressions or hopes. I mean, the event that Second Dinner threw this week to launch the PC client brought in a lot of people to Twitch.
Oh yeah.
I think Zombies, you told me that for a moment anyways, it was the most viewed game on the entire platform, or second most, something like that.
Yeah, it was just behind Just Chatting. Just Chatting was still #1 on Twitch, but Snap was #2. I think it peaked at 225,000 or something crazy.
When are you going to do a hot tub stream?
Yeah, that'll get us to #1.
Only if there are drops. Only if there are drops.
You know what? They were pretty generous with the drops, I have to say, for a game that feels very stingy quite often. The drops, between the daily free logins and the drops, are rad. Aside from the goofy one that there was mistakes on, but this is exciting. Free stuff is great, and for my kid is super excited because he doesn't have a lot of this stuff, and hey, we get a bunch of free stuff. That's awesome.
Good for new players too.
Yeah,
these are all the variants are for early game cards, and it's rewarding for both people who've played the game a bunch and for people who may be new to the game. So they really found, I think, a pretty good balance there.
Oh, can I just say congratulations, by the way, on your official Snap sponsored stream? That was really cool.
Yeah, it was so cool. So I actually learned a little bit about this. So one of the I'm trying to remember. I think their name is Sky. They work with so they're on the Newverse end, not the Second Dinner end, but they work very closely with each other because they're the publisher. And I do want to give them a big shout out because they did put in the work, making sure not only because a lot of times when you get a big sponsorship, they had huge names. They had names that are some of the biggest names on Twitch. They've had some of the biggest names from across all the card game genres. They have really huge names they got to come out for this. But they also did a really good job in supporting people like me and a lot of other people who have been focused on the game, and maybe they're not the biggest streamer in their world, small to medium sized. And they still did a ton of work to have us included with the promotional stuff, which is really nice to see, because a lot of times with the promotional stuff, a lot of that budget just goes on, it's viewed as redundant sometimes because, well, this person's already promoting your stuff all the time. Why should we have to, pay them to do some more when they're already doing it? But it was a very nice gesture to see them do that, and one I was surprised about. So it was
very cool. I saw a bunch of
Yeah.
people this week got invited to the creator program too that were like new to it.
Yeah.
So shout out to like Interrobang and Peaceful Sea and some other people. So
Didn't Terabang make it in?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That's
well,
amazing.
if I can believe the Twitter, which is it's like you know,
I think I think unless he's memeing, I think it's he wouldn't say he got in if he didn't. That's really cool.
That's cool because like I have a lot of respect for him because he's someone who I've always been like fairly critical about like things in the game and whatnot, but like I argue
swear I
he's
saw
more
it.
critical than me,
Mm.
but like it all comes from a good place because you can tell like he really cares about the game. It's not like a lot of the people who are critical aren't. It's not because we dislike the game or want the game to like not succeed. It's because like we want it to be better.
Am I wrong? Is it not?
I don't know.
I'm looking. I'm checking right now. I hope I'm not. I know Peaceful Sea got it. And I was happy about
Yeah,
that.
I know
I
people
saw
got
that.
in. I saw a lot of people were getting in, so I could believe it.
If
but-
I'm wrong, I apologize. I like Interrobang's content a lot, so I think maybe I was
great person to follow on Twitter.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
He called me out last week because I wasn't following him, and I was surprised because I see his tweets all the time on my feed, and I don't use the For You feed on the X platform.
The X. You sound like a boomer.
But it's a testament to how many people engages with what he posts,
Yeah.
so I dropped the follow because I basically was already doing so in spirit.
If I'm wrong, I apologize, but he deserves it for sure.
I didn't see it, so you might have just seen him congratulating somebody
Oops.
possibly.
I saw a lot of them, and it was different
Yeah.
people, and I see so much of his content that maybe it's been a busy week. So
I should probably make an application on behalf of the show.
You
I am
should.
just a very lazy
Yeah.
person. Interrobang is banned from the Discord. That probably is a story for after the show.
Yeah, so I don't think he'd be getting into the program.
Yeah. Well, although to be fair, the moderators who run the Discord are not. Anyways, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's probably a story there.
I
but
can't wait to hear it.
I think that the bottom line is that we've been talking for a little while about how Snap needed a good week, and I think that this was a good week.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite start where you would think, right? The PC launch was kind of the second act in this week because or the events leading into this week because they didn't really announce the launch until I think the day of, right? Like there was some rumblings.
It popped
but
up in your phone like a few days
Yeah.
beforehand.
They let the cat out of
it's
the
coming
bag, but I think
soon.
it was supposed to be like one of those like one more thing kind of Apple moments.
I'm glad that they didn't like. What I hate though is when they hype something up too early, where like this is coming out in 2 months. Get ready
Yeah.
for it, and then then you forget about it. Like at least we didn't have to like. I don't know if I don't want to have to wait too long, or we start seeing the screenshots and you're like, oh, is it gonna suck? And like I wonder, and then the longer that you have to wait for it, then your mind starts working and thinking about like all the bad things. So it just jumping straight to it, I think was.
So we were too busy talking about last week's OTA kind of going into the weekend as the week started, not thinking so much about the PC launch. And this was a really interesting OTA. It was very, very I want to say it kind of looked underwhelming, but has made a fairly significant splash in the metagame. So let's start with the miss maybe of the balance update. I think one of our resident hosts will have something to say about this.
Zombies has to talk about Shanna.
So the first card we'll talk about is Shanna. Now Shanna was buffed from a 4/4. I want to reiterate, buffed
Sure.
to a 3/2. Because Surfer's OP, so if we're gonna make Shanna a 3-cost card, we have to make sure that her power is in line with the 3-cost cards, right? So
Naturally.
Zombies, tell us what you think about this buff.
Oh, so like before I say what I have to say about this quote unquote buff, I do want to say that generally I think they've
crap, mega crap.
I think they've been doing a good job with the OTAs. It's been pretty refreshing to see that they haven't actually been like nerfing stuff every week because the meta's been in like a pretty healthy place. Like that was like one of the concerns I had like a while ago was like, are they going to change stuff for the sake of change and yada yada, all that kind of stuff. And so far, when we have a varied meta where there's nothing that really feels like it's like head and shoulders above everything else. They've just been leaving it be, and that's been cool because it's been, I think, one of the better metas the game has had. People really enjoying it, so that's great. This Shauna change, though, oh boy, I hate everything about this change. I hate it passionately. I was incensed. Like I was so mad. Blue can tell you. I as soon
You
as I got
went
the
on like a
news-
little rampage.
Here
That
I
pretty
was
funny.
ready to buy Pixel Shauna that appeared in my shop tonight, but now because it gives zombies such anguish to see Shauna, I'm gonna have to decline the invitation to own a Pixel Shauna.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. Here's why I'm so mad about it. All right. The reason I'm so mad about it is because believe it or not, I played this card. I know that might be shocking to hear somebody played Shauna, but I did. I actually really liked this card. I had the Savage Lands variant, so I had the whole little squad of her and Khazar and Zabu, all with the matching art. And I played a lot of. I haven't played it recently, but like I don't know, like 2 or 3 months ago, I played a ton of Zabu Zoo. And if you've never heard of that archetype, that's probably for a good reason. It's not the most impressive thing in the world, but what it was fun. And I've been always wanting to make a zoo deck work in Snap because they kind of fall off after Pool 2 when Killmonger starts popping up and it gets countered too easily, right? And so the idea with Zabu Zoo was you run a bunch of cheap stuff. You actually ran Ghost too, me and Blue's favorite card.
6,000 tokens, baby. No
Yep.
regrets. No regrets.
Waiting on that first edition badge, by the way.
Soon TM.
But so the idea is you run a bunch of 1-drops, you run Zabu to make your 4-drops cost 3, and the only 4-drops the deck ran were Khazar, Shauna, and Shang-Chi, because other decks would sometimes go taller than you, and that would like kind of equalize it a bit. And I played a ton of Shauna in that deck when she came out. Well, not when she came out, but like a while after she came out, before she got buffed essentially to 4 power when she was still a 4/2. And even in that deck that was like dedicated around her, she was bad. And it felt so bad because there was like nothing you could do with the card. And so eventually I sadly cut her from the deck and it was a bummer. But then they buffed her to a 4/4 and I tried her again and I could actually justify playing her in the deck and I was really happy. Like it made a difference. It did actually make the card worth running, and I had some and it was a fun card to run because you'd often play it at the end of the game and you get a bunch of 1-drops. Sometimes they would let you refill post Killmonger. It was just, and the fact that Shauna was no longer like one of the smallest stats in the game and she actually put 4 power in her lane, it made a noticeable difference. Like it actually made her worthwhile. And then they made this change, and I haven't played with Shauna since the change. I will not play with Shauna until they change her again because I don't want to contribute to the statistics that make them think this was a positive change. And they generally seem to think that by, the whole goal is they want the card to be played more, right? I refuse to play this card until they actually make it playable. The fact that they made it a 3/2 as well instead of, they could have at least tried a 3/3. And even then I think it would still be bad. But they could have at least tried a 3/3, but 3/2, like, come on. Like, the only use this card has now is maybe somebody runs it in a destroy deck so they can blow up all these 1-drops to make the death weaker. But anything else, I know Safety here got to, he did Infinite on his free-to-play before she got nerfed. And
Buffed.
like, no. And yeah, and even he was like, yeah, she's worse now. Like, she just feels worse now.
Well, all right. So Safety Blade said that, the card is worse, so it's actually buffed. Right. All right. So.
All right. The logic
by the
tracks.
way, Nate, I like the graphic you put up with all the Savage Land variants. They're
Savage
awesome. I really
Land
like this
Kang?
series. Yeah, I was gonna say
I hate
spot
Savage Land
the one
Kang.
that doesn't fit.
One
And
of
you
these
wouldn't
is not
know.
like the rest. Yeah.
You wouldn't even know.
I could not tell looking at that was supposed to be a Savage Land king.
I guess the background's kind
like
of
a
on fire or
volcano, I
whatever.
guess.
It does not look right at all. I think it's, but you know what? Sometimes with the websites, like they're all Alex Horley art, and so it makes me wonder if like it's not a Savage Land variant, it's just Alex Horley art, and the website.
No,
like,
they're listed in game as Savage Land.
is that one? I don't have that one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, that Kang
Yep.
is part
These
of the
are all
Savage
listed
Land.
in game.
That's yeah.
That's just
I actually
stupid,
own most
then.
of these. Not all of them, but most of them.
There were a couple that were exclusive to a bundle. That was
Yeah,
pretty
the White
cool, but
Tiger,
quite
Craven,
expensive.
Sabretooth. I passed on
Yeah.
that one. That was because like, I mean, I kind of wish I had that Craven now, but I mean, who would have known that Craven was gonna end up seeing play?
I'm using the cursed Venom one with the giant like
Yeah,
hair.
me too. It's so bad. I love it. It's like it's objectively ugly, but it's so, since you run all these other spider cards, I run it because it's thematic. And if I have to look at it, my opponents have to look at it too. So
You guys are the worst. Okay, so that was the first OTA change. Shauna. The other change was Crystal went from being a 4/4 to a 3/3. I actually think that this change made the card better, although is
Yeah.
it good? I think it fits certain decks. I like it. And I guess we'll see
wake
what
you
happens
up when
with
she
it.
becomes a 2/2.
Oh no, no, that
No,
would
they're never
not-
gonna do that. That'd
I
be
think this is
terrifying.
a pretty good spot.
I hit
And-
infinite with her before the buff. Just saying.
Well, we'll review your deck after. But yeah, definitely. There's very little card draw in Snap, right? The stones for Thanos, Adam Warlock, Crystal. So just having a card draw on just a generically neutral statted minion, 3/3 being like that neutral statting. Shadow. I think that's a really cool change, and it's seeing some play. And finally, the last change, which I think I don't think it surprised everyone that it was the most impactful. I think when we saw this, we all agreed that it had the greatest potential to be impactful. Turns out that it was. So Forge went from being a 2/1 that gives the next hero you play +2 power to giving +3 power, effectively making Forge 2/4 instead of a 2/3, which is a much more generous stat line. Now, we're going to do a meta review after, but it turns out that Forge, alongside Brood, alongside the Absman buff from 4/3 to 4/5 on the previous OTA, has created a deck that I don't know if it's the best deck in the game, but it's certainly a new archetype that is performing well. So definitely, 3 changes that were very impactful. One that changed the meta, one that just made a decent card generically better, and one that, got a rise out of zombies.
Changed my mood for the whole day.
Yeah.
That's the real buff.
So those were the OTAs, and while we were reconciling with all that, there was that kind of goof up where we realized that the PC client was just around the corner because it was effectively announced in the mobile client. But the picture that we all saw was kind of like a bad Photoshop mock-up, and already we were dooming the PC release. It's just not going to be good. It's gonna look like the mock-up, and I noted that, like, it probably just was a mock-up and rendered like weeks or even months.
Oh, that's what I
ready.
thought too. Yeah.
And it turns out that it was a mock-up, and the PC client, I think, well, I can't speak for everyone. I think that it met expectations, albeit I think it exceeded mine. Albeit I had very low expectations going in. The PC client's pretty great.
I like it a lot. Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good.
So what I think is really important about the PC client is that I think a minority of people engage with the game primarily through PC. I think most people play on mobile because it's an excellent mobile game. I tend to use PC
mobile
more.
First,
I have
right?
mobile first.
Mobile first game.
I play it mostly on PC, and that's just to count to my bad eyes, it's a lot easier to see on a giant 4K monitor than a tiny screen. The PC client made the cards and locations not only bigger, but wider, and the color saturation is deeper, and the images aren't distorted. And I when I opened it up, I realized how much strain it was causing me to just engage with the old Steam client. And it was like seeing the game for the first time. A lot of the locations, I never really knew what the art was, and I just assumed what it was and was wrong for a lot of them. Like Adeline, I thought it was just a giant rock. It turns out it's like a floating city. That's pretty cool. Just getting to see a lot of the art in it more clearly, or even kind of just being able to just see it at all. I think it's an accessibility win. I think there's more that they can do for color blindness and for even making some of the fonts even larger. But from an accessibility perspective, it's a huge win, and it makes me want to play the game more.
I really like in the collection manager, like when you're building a deck, there's options for the size of your cards, so you can view them like really small or bigger or really big. And for a game that's so heavily focused on the artwork, like being able to actually see the cards and like kind of enjoy them, I really like that too. And that's a pretty cool feature.
I'm going to make a declaration here. So my declaration is that the PC client for Marvel Snap is the best digitized PC or non-mobile card game experience. So not talking about the game itself, that's subjective and another conversation, but just the actual the
like the UI,
the client itself. Yeah, the UI. I would have said that Hearthstone was the best, and I still think Hearthstone is really good, but I think this tops it for me in terms of aesthetics and just kind of usability. Most clients for TCGs really suck. Hearthstones and Snap are heads and tails above everything else. MTGA is okay, it's usable. The Pokemon enjoyers out there, I love the Pokemon TCG. It's unplayable in its current format.
Yeah.
So it's really, 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 really good. Really happy with it.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, I do think one thing, like, I've seen some complaints where it's like they really hyped it up a lot, and so some people are thinking it doesn't feel like it's delivering on the level of hype they put behind it. But like after seeing the mock-up and then like experiencing it yourself, like I didn't realize how bad it looked on PC until I saw it like with the update, because I play it a lot on phone and tablet too, and I always knew it looked better on there, but I didn't realize just quite how much better it looked.
Well, it was because it was designed to be vertical, right? And so how do you convert a vertical game to a horizontal game all of a sudden? And they managed to pull it off. I was pleasantly surprised as well. They had all this extra space.
The analogy that I've used, and I've said this already to you guys twice now, so I apologize, but the best experience I can equate it to is like if you ever had an old Game Boy Advance and then got your hands on a Game Boy Advance SP, that's the difference. Or like going from a launch Switch to a Switch OLED, like the screen's bigger and it looks better and everything looks new again because you're seeing it with such better fidelity. That's kind of what the experience was like. Or going from like a 720p TV to a 4K.
The only thing that's weird is now that the cube is in like the bottom right corner, it's kind of strange, but whatever.
I guess, you
get used to it. I mean, whatever.
It's like Hearthstone's mobile client. Things are positioned a little bit differently. It's kind of the same thing. You just get used to it, I guess,
But whenever I'm playing Hearthstone, if I go bottom right, I'm conceding. Whereas with Snap, if I go bottom right, I'm like doubling down.
No, on the mobile client, when you go bottom right, you're actually pulling up your hand.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
It depends what button you hit, I guess. I don't.
How do you concede on mobile in Hearthstone? Now we're going down a rabbit hole. You gotta pull up your hand and then go bottom right.
You gotta hit the little.
It's a little setting button.
Yeah,
it's top right, I think, in mobile there.
Oh, okay.
I can't play this stuff on mobile. Like I'll play it on my iPad, but my eyes are just not as good as they used to be. I'll play Snap sometimes on my phone. Snap is actually pretty good on my phone. Hearthstone I don't like because I'll do
Yeah,
I'll do
I feel the same.
Butterfingers and then I'll misplay. Snap has been
Play
okay,
Snap
but
with one hand on mobile.
Snap I really like on
Portrait.
the iPad is quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good looking.
So Sheep, you just downloaded the PC client and you played quite a bit during the beta and at launch. You just had your first impression less than an hour ago. So what sayest you?
I think that the main home screen feels a little barren. I haven't played like an in-game game with the PC client yet because I just downloaded and launched it and was kind of poking around. I really like the card collection manager. I feel like that's just miles better than it ever was before on mobile, like at all. I feel like I can actually sort and type and actually look for things.
For sure.
Right.
So I'm excited to like play around with like the actual game on PC as well. But the client itself feels like a lot of empty space in the very main one, but every subheading just feels so much richer.
Yeah, looking at the screen that we have showing in the video feed, now that you mention it, I guess I wish the news and updates and the season and missions were like not like on an angle. I wish they were flush and
Right.
bigger, more centers. So I agree with you on that. And I think that there's more that they can do to promote accessibility and utilize the space they have a little bit more intelligently. But I yeah. I think that you'll be if you like the collection manager, I think you'll be equally pleased when you're in a game. There is some dead space in the game, but I think they did a good job of translating it. The cards are just ginormous, which I quite enjoy.
I'll
Yeah,
have to
they
play
look
more with
very
it
nice.
because I do most of mine on the tablet, but I'll have to try it. I enjoy it because you can still use the deck tracker.
Yes.
Uh-huh,
Big tip. So the deck tracker by default is it's kind of weird where if you have it with just show tracker overlay, it covers like the names. So
Oh, you
what
gotta move them now, yeah.
Yeah, so and I've had a lot of people who ask questions about this who are like, I don't understand, and I was confused at first too. How do people move it around? I can't get mine to move. What you have to do is there are options in your tracker. You disable the first one, which is just show tracker overlay, and then you enable tracker windows. And those are what allow you to like move it around and wherever you want it to be. So it's not in the way of anything on the game. Because I had to do
So
that.
this is actually an OP buff. So I did that for so there's two. There's your tracker that covers your
Mhm.
portrait and your opponent's deck as the cards are revealed over your opponent.
Yep.
So I just moved mine and I left the opponent one as the default. Now I don't play with the music on or the sound on. So it is effectively an auto squelch because my opponent could be emoting me away, but I can't see it. I can't hear it.
Ms. Marvel,
And
thumbs up to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I got
Glorious.
my auto squelch basically, and it's great. And so what I do is if they play the same card as me, I'll Spider-Man point, even though I'm not sure they're doing it. I've been reprimanded for not Spider-Man pointing when that happens, so now I feel like I'm obliged to do so.
I hate
Keep
all
pressure.
the
It's working.
emotes. The emotes are just they make me
Oh.
cringe so hard.
Once I realized, I was like, hey, it's been a while since I've played against,
Oh, snap.
and I realized, well, I wouldn't know if someone was emoting me, and then once I realized what had happened, I was like, this is a stealth buff, right? It's kind of like when
Yeah.
deck tracker auto squelched your opponent in Hearthstone, right? Well, this is not really intended, but it's one of those like secondary effects, it's like
Right.
like the Viagra of Snap. It wasn't what it was supposed to, wasn't what it was supposed to cure initially, but it's still, the
Still got
side
the job
effects
done.
found a home. So yeah, for those who don't like the emotes like me on PC, just cover their face and turn off the sound effects, and you're good to go.
I will say the Viagra analogy is not one I expected tonight, but it's very fitting.
This episode sponsored by Blue Chew.
Yeah, perhaps a little too colorful of an analogy. It's what came to mind. Sorry, guys.
It's hilarious.
What can I say? It's late here, and it's been a long week. So
Oh, God, tell me about it.
Bringing a little bit of the snap after dark to this week's episode.
Hey, we got some drops this week that are pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that I think was unexpected. So there were all kinds of drops to celebrate the launch of the PC client. There was so they kind of fall into 3 buckets. So there was one drop award for the GameCon stream when they were doing the ceremony, exclusive to that. Then there were.
Can we talk about that for 2 seconds since we have it?
Yeah, sure.
It was it was available. It was available for a very short time while I was at work, and I missed it because I by the time I realized that it was happening and I could get my phone out and play it like face down on my desk, I got 89% of it and did not get this. It was weird because I think the bundle was available for like maybe 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 hours. It was a very short
3-hour
window of time.
Yeah.
At like 10 a.m. in the morning on a work day. Like I was,
I was like, I'm usually at home and it's not a problem, but of course that was the day that I had to go into the office, and so there I am, like at my desk with my phone, like trying to see if like the drops are working. I tried to have the stream, I left it up on my PC, but of course it didn't work because the ad roll didn't take. Man, I chewed out my entire like battery trying to get it.
Oh no!
And, I got it at least. Right?
Oh good.
So,
I was in the office as well, but I remote desktoped into my home PC.
Oh, there you go. I heard if you already had the Max Grek Spider-Man, you got 1,200 gold, which is just insane.
Yes,
Like-
and
Well,
some people are wondering
because
where that
only
is.
have it if you paid 1,200 gold. For it, right?
Unless you
Yeah,
opened
the
it, I
refund.
guess. But like,
you
can't open.
Oh,
Well,
you
I
don't-
guess you could now with the premium mystery one, but it's a 1,200. But for some people are wondering where that is because it hasn't shown up yet. But it sounds like that's going to be rolling out.
bro,
Early next week.
we're still missing like the last thing that we were supposed to get for the thing that we didn't get. And
I think it went out. The gold for the weekend mission mix up. I think that went out, didn't it? Maybe
I
I'm
don't
wrong.
remember, honestly.
It wasn't much.
I want to say it did, but I don't recall.
I don't know. Anyways, it was super cool that they were doing it. And I thought it was awesome. It's just, it was like a really, really short window where the other drops for this week they last for like a whole week. And so there's
that was
more
the
time.
Second bucket. Yeah, so there were three variants. You have to watch 6 hours total of Snap on any stream. So even this stream, if you're watching us live right now and you haven't collected your drops, you're actively working towards them. And so I think that everyone that wants these can get them quite easily.
Well, they come with stuff too, right? Like it's not just the alternate art. It's like they're like little bundles.
Yeah, you get title. You get 200 credits on the first two, 250 on the other one. You get some titles, one of which is like the best title in the game, which I believe is just what is this, Wizard Poker? I love that one to death. It's
Matchmaking
hilarious.
sucks is still pretty S tier, but
pretty
yeah,
top
that's
tier,
good.
yeah.
No, yeah, and these variants are good. Like these are variants that they would sell in like $30-$40 bundles or charge 1,200 gold for. I think that they gave away Nightcrawler, probably my least favorite out of the 3, but still quite good. Moon Girl, a really awesome Moon Girl variant. I think maybe even the best one. And then a Sunspot, which I also think is a really fantastic one. So it's nice that they gave out really quality variants for these drops, and I think that a lot of people have been wanting to collect them because who doesn't like awesome free stuff?
For sure.
I don't like any of them.
You don't like any of them?
Wow.
I mean, they're fine, but like I
Yeah, I have variants that I'd rather use than these for
I'm
each
I'm
of
not
these characters,
complaining.
but
I'm not complaining.
credits, boosters,
What moon girl are you using
avatars,
over that moon girl?
the steampunk one. I love the steampunk one.
Ah,
one,
your
but-
opinion has no. And Nate? And Nate?
I don't play.
Which-
I don't play Moon Girl. What are you
You
talking
don't
about?
play moon
No,
girl. All
I
right, so-
I have the. I bought the Devil Dino bundle, like the
Yeah,
The
the hip
Dan
one.
The
The
hip-
hip one's pretty great.
the hip bundle that
Yeah.
had Devil Dino and Moon Girl in it. I
I
have a
got
couple
that
others
too.
actually that are. But like I don't play the card a whole lot. But like if you know me, that what I'm hunting for is like the Venom ones and the Null ones. That's all I really want.
Yeah.
It's too bad that you and I can't like get all the variants and then just split them between us, because I think like we would be very happy with that arrangement.
I
Because
know.
it seems that the ones that I really enjoy,
Yeah.
you don't, and vice versa. So I guess it makes sense.
Yet
that
we're
because
good
I
friends.
declared, well, they say opposites attract, Nate. So
I have the Pixel variant and
yeah.
the hip variant. No, this variant's cool. I actually really like that Devil Dino is in it. I think that's really cool. I like it as a variant actually. I
They
don't.
could have done far worse with the giveaway. Although
Oh
I
yeah,
think
no,
that
it's
beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and it's always interesting to see which variants people like or dislike. It's a lot of
For sure.
controversy.
the Sunspot
Um,
one is pretty sweet actually. I mean, I don't
looks
have any
nice.
variants for Sunspot. I only have the base one, and so like I'd use it for sure. It's pretty cool. It is Luca Claretti variant, who is one of my favorite artists in with these variants. Has some really cool things.
Yeah,
So
they have
I
some
enjoy
really
his
good
art
ones.
too. So those were the drops that are still ongoing, and finally, the last but not least, they're giving away. They gave away another variant for installing and launching the PC client, the Mecha Devil Dino, which is an
Yeah.
awesome Devil Dino.
It's really good.
And cut this is really interesting. So this month they have like all these mecha cards they've released. Some they've given away, some they're selling. The ones they gave away are so much better than the ones they're selling for a lot. Like the death that's still in the store, I don't know how much it is in the United States, but in Canada,
$75.
yeah, here it's $99.99.
Yeesh.
And so, what would you rather have, the $100 death or this free Devil Dino? It's such a good. I think it's a good variant.
Yeah, no, it's pretty sweet. I like the one that has Spider-Man in it, but yeah, it's rad. Did you see on the Twitter, like for the game, like I think IGN posted, they have an actual like Devil Dino.
Oh yeah, they have a giant devil dinosaur at the event. It's pretty sick.
Yeah,
Here,
that's
I'll,
really
I'll
cool.
put it on screen real quick.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I do really like the mech death, but there are so many good death variants that like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm going to spend $100 on that or 75. But that
No,
Devil
it's too
Dino is
much.
just incredible.
The whale bundles in this game are so out of control. Although, not to go off the rails too much, I noticed that there's some pretty whale bundles in the Hearthstone shop now that surprised me after taking a bit of a sabbatical. So seems like everyone's trying to cash in on the rad cosmetics.
Mhm.
So there's the dino from the show.
It's there. Oh, sorry. Let me turn the sound off. There we go.
It's huge.
It's
yeah,
Massive.
that's so cool.
yeah.
Their booth is really well done. Man, trade show booths are hard to do, and that looks like a really good one. They probably paid a pretty penny for whomever put that together for them. 'Cause
Well,
that rocks.
Did you see the stats that Zombies put in the Discord the other day about how much money they were making? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's real or not. It's based on whatever that app is, but like, that's a lot
App
of
Magic,
that's a
I
lot of
think.
money.
It's one of the better. I think they're one of the better or more reliable like app tracking in terms of like mobile monetization stuff. I've only I don't really know much about all that stuff, so I could be wrong. But from what I've heard, they're one of the more reliable groups, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. It was like it was estimating they're making like $5 million a month off of the game.
Off of variants and crappy
Well, some of the
bundles.
Well, it's not
prices
just
are-
variants. Got to get those spotlight caches.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's not all. Again, so if the Max Grecke Spider-Man wasn't enough, I hope that's how you pronounce his name.
I think it's just
Um,
Greg, but I
Greg?
could be wrong. Yeah, I think
Okay,
the E
there's
is
an E
silent.
at the. All right, you're probably right. So if that variant plus the 3 and the Devil Dino is not enough, they're also giving away a reward every day this week that you log in,
Mhm.
either on mobile or PC, with the last reward being a premium mystery variant,
Meaning not a
which
pixel.
could be not a
Yes.
pixel and potentially be a 1200 gold variant. So Nate, maybe you'll get that Spider-Man after all when you when you get your variant.
Wouldn't
Wait,
that be funny?
That'd be really silly. I have a graphic. I don't remember where I got it, but I'm going to put it up on the screen because it shows everything
Oh,
day
yes.
by day.
Wonderful. Oh, they're giving us gold tickets. Just what I wanted.
Yeah, everyone loves. Who doesn't love getting a gold conquest?
I like how they're trying to normalize that. We'll talk about that more later. But I don't want to detract from the very nice
Getting gold tickets
giveaways.
is like my least favorite thing in the whole world.
Getting gold tickets is like, when you went trick-or-treating as a kid and you got like raisins or fruit.
When you
or
get like a
something.
toothbrush.
Yeah, or a toothbrush, like, and it's like,
See, we had.
you want
I
to be
always,
polite, but
I always like going to my friend's neighborhood because they had one awesome house. They give out comics, and they always had a bunch of
Whoa.
Simpsons comics. It was pretty neat.
That's cool.
200 gold and 500.
Yeah, no,
credits.
these are good. I mean,
It's
I
500 gold, dude. It's 300 at
Well,
the end. so
combined,
it's
yeah. Yeah,
500 gold, pretty good. 500 credits, fine. Oh, also, we should mention this because I'm sure a bunch of people haven't saw this. You guys might not have even seen it because it just came out today. So like a few days ago, they did a thing where it's like, oh, you can redeem a code and you get 500 credits. They're doing another one of those.
Wait,
And,
wait. What? I missed the last
Yeah.
one. Is it still live or is it gone?
No, that one's gone. It was for Gamescom. Are you sure we posted about it when it happened? It was
Yeah.
it was like a few days before Gamescom.
Well, I probably got it and just forgot then, but
Yeah, I think you did because I think I remember you asked me about it. But I'll link to the tweet here if you want to show it. But basically, Snap. If you go on the Snap website, there's a redeem code option in the top left. You put in your player ID, and the new code is all caps SNAP2434, and you get 250 credits for free. Pretty cool. Not a ton, but hey, free stuff.
hey, you know what? I'll take it. I need whatever I can get to like upgrade my stupid cards. So,
Yeah.
hey, free.
Yeah, you can open more of those spotlight caches.
Yep.
Oh
Your
boy.
favorite.
There it is. By the Interrobang himself.
Yep.
I
The
got my
infamous.
250
Yeah,
credits,
I'm glad you
and,
reminded me because I took a screenshot of it earlier, but it was like a super busy work day for me.
Yeah.
And so I it's sitting on my phone and then I forgot about it because I'm tired. I want to do it before it like goes away, right? How long is this?
I have no idea. I would just do it.
Just do it
Yeah,
quick before it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
do-
was
do it.
from. It wasn't even like an English promotion for this one. This was apparently for some. I think it was in Japan. They were doing some
okay.
promo and whatnot. So it's neat. It's cool.
Sweet. I'm logged into your account because I'm streaming on your alt.
funny.
Like I
Oh,
can't do it
no.
from here. I'll have to log out.
Oh yeah, you can do it after. It's funny.
Or
Sure
you're gonna
it'll
your
work
alt's
from
gonna
your
end
phone.
up with 250 free credits.
It's funny. My alt needs boosters. I don't play the alt very much, and so it's like I actually have credits, but I can't use them because I
I-
don't have enough boosters.
It's like my
I
kid's
don't know
account. He
how-
got like 10,000 credits or something and can't spend them.
I don't know
yeah,
how
it's
people
actually an issue.
do multiple accounts in this game. It just doesn't.
Oh, I
don't-
just made it when release came out because I needed to be able to play some
pull
some
one.
newbie friendly decks
Yeah.
and whatnot. I don't really use it much, but funnily enough, I have Kitty Pride on that account, and it's not even pool 3 because for whatever reason, the compensation went to both of my accounts. I think it has something to do with the same. It knows the phone or something. Someone explained it to me. It's weird, but yeah, kind of strange, but definitely interesting.
Well, you made a joke earlier, Sheep, that all these extra credits could be used to open or get an additional Spotlight cache. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Spotlight caches because it turns out that this week is a week where a lot of people are opening their Spotlight caches because, people like the Destroy archetype and X23, although maybe didn't live up to the hype, is a pretty cool card. Silk went from being kind of this really niche pick that engaged players liked to being in a tier 1 deck. So a lot of people, wanted to open up their caches for Silk. And then finally, while most people might have Nebula from the Battle Pass, if they don't, Nebula is a really good card to have. But if they already did have Nebula, it's probably the best Nebula variant, although there are some really good ones. So a lot of people opening their Spotlight caches, but as we all know from Marvel Snap Zone and Lauren and just general discourse online, you only should open your caches in sets of 4. You may not need all 4 to get what you want, but you need 4 to guarantee what you want. So this is a very logical approach to solving a problem that Second Dinner created by taking away agency over the cards we get. But the rub in all this is that this appeals to our logical side, and this economy, in my view, in my opinion, targets our irrational side. It appeals to the gambler in us, and for some, we can resist that urge. For others like me, the caches give me so much anxiety, I just won't open them at all, even when it makes sense to. But for others, we'll open them even when things are not guaranteed. And we have one of those people on the pod here. So Nate,
I conducted an experiment at great personal peril and failed miserably 2 weeks in a row. I wanted the Galactus really badly because Kim Jacinto is one of my favorite artists in this game, and I love that Galactus. And after they murdered the card, even I still wanted it. And I opened. I think I only had 2 Spotlight caches, right? So 50% chance, and I got 1,000 tokens, and I got a variant that I did not want, a Kang variant. Of things, right?
So okay, what was worse? What was worse out of the 2? What was the bigger feels bad? The 1,000 tokens, or the variant?
I prefer the 1,000 tokens to the Kang variant because the card's never going to see play. I mean,
well, what if it was a slightly better?
Who knows?
variant?
They can rework it.
You have to remember, Kang is just a really big bad. It's just so bad.
He puts the bad in big bad.
Kang was cool in the Ant-Man movie. I mean, but like,
he could probably stand for a little rework.
Yeah. I mean, the card is what it is. Like, I would have played it like if I had it before Galactus got nerfed, but I didn't have it, and it just doesn't seem worth to me now. So I wanted that one, and like I just could not. The way that the system is set up, like, unless you're spending like buku bucks, you cannot open more Spotlight caches. You just don't get enough.
So Nate, I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
You know that you should open Spotlight caches in 4. Why did you open Spotlight caches when you didn't have 4?
Well, I only had 2.
So why did you open them?
Well, because I wanted the Galactus, and there's no other way to get it, at least at this point. See, so this is the problem. It's like if you want the thing, like, and so I took the gamble because I wanted the cool artwork, and it did not pay off for me. And then I went through the stages of grief, and like I'm like cope in the back of my mind that it'll go in the shop in like a year, and I'll buy it for 1,200 gold or whatever.
They did say that the Spotlight ones aren't gone like forever. They will come back.
Of course, because it's like free money for them. Like,
but
what's
what's crazy is we still haven't they said, but they never made that distinction with regular bundle variants, and we've still never seen, like, I know a lot of people who missed out on like the anime Sarah and really wanted that.
The
and are like,
Apocalypse. I want the Kim
yeah, the
Jacinto
Apocalypse is a big
yeah.
one where a lot of people didn't get that one.
You know
and
what
we
they'll
still
do?
Don't know if they're ever bringing those back.
They will, because it's free money. What they'll do is they'll throw it in the shop and they'll charge like 2,400 gold for it. They'll just double the price.
Or they'll make it an
Yeah, I could
ultimate
see
or
that.
something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way that they don't. I think they have to keep it exclusive for a certain amount of time. It's just it's the same with the Hearthstone portraits, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like you have to let the people who drop the cash on it feel special for a while, because they were so stinking expensive. That Apocalypse bundle
Yeah.
was like $100. And I
It
was
the
just
first
like,
whale bundle.
I could not spend $100 on one variant for a card that, like, I mean, I wanted it, but I just couldn't justify the money. But it seems like a bad financial decision. If we're looking purely at numbers, like, it seems like a bad financial decision for them to make it exclusive forever. Like, they'll have to, or they'll just release the bundle again later. But like, because it's digital, there's no, like, they'd be losing money to not make it
it's just
available
artificial
again.
scarcity, right? Like it could come back literally the second they want it to.
Yeah,
It's just
and they
whenever
get you
decide.
with the FOMO, which is where they got me with the stupid
100%,
Galactus, because like I wanted it and then I didn't get it, and then the next week came around, this week or whatever, and we've got X23, and I'm like, I want to play with that card. I like Destroy, and I had two more Spotlight caches because I've been playing it a lot, and like, that's a lot, right? That's 20 collector's caches that I had to like wade through. That's a lot of gold
Suffer
tickets
through opening. Yeah.
and I did
what did
not
you-
I did
yeah.
not get it. I got 1,000 tokens, and I got the Rian Gonzalez variant for Nebula, which is beautiful.
Which I like, so I like that variant. So
pretty.
by the laws of Marvel Snap variants, that's probably not one that you were too excited to see.
No, I'll tell you what, I love her artwork. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not my jam. It's not my thing. Like, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think it's very, I love it. In fact, it's wonderful. But like,
Right.
I don't want to deck with it. It's just not my style.
And you certainly don't want to pull it in your, $75 loot box or however much it
Yeah.
costs in
Yeah,
the
no,
US.
because I want the new card. So like I play the odds. Or I have 50% chance, right? 2 out of 4 chance to pull the thing, and I didn't get it, and now I've got 0 collector's caches. I've got just shy of 6,000 tokens. But now I'm feeling like, well, geez, I shouldn't spend them, because there's going to be like other cards that I want. Like I want Alioth, and I want the like Zombies was saying, we were talking about it before the show, like that you should probably spend the tokens on the ones that come out in Series 4 because they're half the price. But it's like, when is X23 going to drop? In like a year?
Yeah.
Well,
when is
our
anything
series
gonna
drops?
drop?
Yeah, when our series drops coming back, because
So we do have
the
a
series
soft
drops
date.
will come back the same time as those special like tier award things on your cards.
Yeah.
when
Well,
first edition badges.
Yes.
Yeah, the first edition badges. But so seriously, with series drops, I think there are only 2 options, right? So either they come back in September, and in which case we'll know real soon if that's happening, because a lot of people probably don't remember this. They said a while ago, going forward, whenever we do series drops, we're going to be giving people 2 weeks of notice. Series drops happen on patch day, right? Patch day is typically the second Tuesday of the month. There's been like 1 or 2 times that got missed because of like a last minute thing, but
Like a bug or
almost
whatever.
almost every month the patch is the second Tuesday of the month, which in September is the 12th. So by the 29th, which is 3
Next
days from
Tuesday.
now,
Yeah.
if they don't say anything on the 29th, they are basically saying no series drops for September.
Unless
which I think is
they
likely.
unless they announce it 3 days before and go LOL oops.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't put it past
I mean,
either,
yeah, it's
but
definitely not impossible that they don't even remember they said this notice thing, because they said this
I don't
notice thing forever
I certainly
ago.
don't remember it.
Yeah, it was literally when they announced the flexible series drops. Basically,
Right.
they were like, "We're gonna let people know," and blah blah blah. So it's totally possible they don't even remember that. Who knows? But if they stick to what they said, if there are series drops in September, we will know on the 29th. And
All
if
right,
there
well-
are not, and a bunch of people who actually did the math on everything basically said if we get to October and series drops have not resumed for October, the new system is by definition worse. Like
for everyone,
everybody.
or
yes,
even
for
those who are
everybody.
min-maxing it,
No, like I think it's by definition worse for everybody,
including those who are min-maxing it.
Yes,
Because right now,
because
I
it's
think
already
we-
worse for people who aren't min-maxing if you have
Exactly,
a lot of
yeah.
cards. But I know Lauren's brought it up a bunch and was basically saying, yeah, I expect if they, are keeping to what they said about the system actually being about more cards for more players, they have to resume series drops by October. Otherwise, what they said just isn't the reality anymore. Because that's
Or-
when we get to the point that if we had the old system with the cards dropping, you would have gotten more cards through the old system than you would the new system.
or they changed the system again.
That is on the roadmap, Spotlight Cache improvements, but it was on the middle of the roadmap, which means I don't think it's going to be happening particularly soon.
Yeah. What about the other caches that we're not opening?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going to happen. Those fun fact, and I shouldn't admit I'm doing this, but I'm doing my quests right now, and I just ran into Glenn Jones.
Ha!
Hey, Glenn.
It's funny.
So I think getting back to the spotlights, the couple of things that I feel quite strongly about. So for those that are educating people on how to maximize the economy, appreciated, kudos. For those that are shaming people that are not maximizing the economy, that's kind of a crummy thing to do, because I think that Nate here kind of gave a pretty relatable experience as to why min-maxing was not an option or desirable or didn't feel right. And I think that people play games mostly not to exercise the logical, right? We don't want it to be
For fun.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the system is designed to punish people who are not, being super deliberate with the system, and
And it
that
can
just
punish
kinda
others
sucks.
too. Safety got punished, and he's been min-maxing the system.
Yeah, with the variants, even if you min-max, you could fall outside the bands of you can fall outside, to kind of the peripheries of that variance, and it could take a long time to get back on track to the extent where it will cost you
Yeah.
to keep going,
It's incredibly difficult to save up. Like I totally understand the logic and the math behind it. Like, yeah, 100%. If you want to guarantee that you get the thing that you want, you need to have 4. But like, in order to get 4, because you only get 1 every 10, like you either have to drop a ton of money or hoard them, which neither are super viable options. Like, just kind of sucks.
Now, I have not been opening my caches because it gives me anxiety.
But you're either brave or coward.
I'm a coward. But
Los
what we're gonna do is at the end of the show, I want X23. I don't want to use my tokens. In fact, if I'm going to min-max the system, you should not buy cards, Series 5 cards with tokens. You should only buy Series 4 cards with tokens. You should open Series 5 cards and caches. Now, I was going to buy X23 with tokens because I don't want to open up 4 caches for the card. But that we're gonna go through the experience in real time, and we're gonna see if I'm lucky or unlucky.
For
but
science.
But I think that what's going to be of interest, at least to me, is kind of documenting the emotions that I'm feeling as I go through it. And I think that they're going to predominantly be negative, unless I giga roll and get X23 in the one spotlight. It could happen, but if it doesn't, like the odds of me walking away from the experience feeling like really good is far less than me, walking away from it feeling really perhaps good. Mixed emotions, right?
Yeah.
It's a feels bad.
Can I? Well, Sheep, you go, and then I've got a question.
Yeah. Blue, you said that the only way to not get the Giga feels bad is if all 4 are things that you need. The one going on right now, there are 3 things. All Series 5 cards that I don't have. I had 1 Spotlight cache that was ready to be opened. I got the random Series 4 1,000 tokens.
Oh
No.
wow! And when's the last time? And when's the last time you played Snap? Like consistently.
Consistently, it's been like since the a long time.
So several months at least. So
Yeah.
here you've been away for several months. You're missing tons of cards, and you got the Giga Low roll,
Yep.
and that's your welcome back experience. Now let me
Correct.
tell you about my Hearthstone welcome back experience. I haven't played Hearthstone in 8 months. I loaded it up last weekend, and I was greeted with a big welcome back screen, and I got a bunch of packs. And then I got a bunch of quests specifically for welcoming me back that gave me approximately 12 or 1,200 gold, I think, total. At least 1,000 gold. And then finally, they offered me some welcome back bundles where they offered me like something like $70 worth of cards for like 15.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and that was the tier 1 welcome back bundle. I didn't look at the tier 2 because I didn't want to be tempted to buy it. But like here they're like, welcome back. Here's all this free stuff, and your welcome back experience was like a kick in the groin, and that's really bad.
Yep.
And because what I
And-
want to happen is I want you to re-engage with the game and enjoy it, but that's you were robbed of that.
And not only that, but that is not they gave me that spotlight cash. That was I progressed the level up to that spotlight cash,
Yeah, it
knew
wasn't
that only
free.
1/4 was even like a random roll to see what series 4 card I could get. And it was still the just the tokens.
I'm sorry. That's so frustrating.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how did that make you feel?
such a feel
Document the
bad.
emotions. Yeah.
Honestly, I just kind of rolled my eyes and was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's par for the
That
course.
tracks.
Well, it's what's been.
Incredible game, terrible monetization model for how
Yeah.
you feel approaching the game.
Terrible
100%
collection
agree.
system. Yeah.
It's the uncollectible card game.
The uncollectible card game. Yes.
It's a UCG.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. There will be those that'll say, "Guys, you're being so critical." Honestly, if it didn't make me feel bad, I wouldn't be critical.
Right.
And
I love the game. I love the game. The game is
Everyone loves
wonderful.
The game, like it's pretty rare. I mean, yeah, we've had bad metas or whatever, but like it's gotten a lot better, and they've gotten a lot better about balancing it. Like I
It's been
very
great.
seldom hear complaints about the actual gameplay at all anymore. And
Yeah,
haven't
the
for a
game
good
is-
few months.
The
Like,
game is
once,
good.
Once we got past the Shuri, the months of suffering under
High
Shuri.
Evo month kind of was.
Yeah, that one was
suboptimal, but
that wasn't his best. It wasn't as bad as Shuri though.
It's
But
true.
Shuri Red Skull was the last time that I was actively playing.
Oh,
Mm.
that
yeah,
tracks.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
tracks.
that was the game has improved a lot since then because that was not a fun time.
Okay, so so now I'm in this position that I've got just shy of 6,000 tokens. I've got no collector's caches, and so now I've missed Lady Deathstrike and X23.
Wait, I thought you got Lady Deathstrike, or did you gamble
No.
on her and miss?
I just didn't. I don't think, was she in the spotlights?
She was
Yeah,
in the
last
spotlight
week.
last week.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't.
I thought you got her.
No, huh?
Oh, okay. I guess
You
I'm
didn't open any
misremembering.
last week though.
No, I didn't. I saved. I saved.
It must have been the Galactus week. I guess
Yeah,
I got you confused with
yeah.
somebody else. I remember. I thought it was you, but it must have been somebody else that got her. And I was like, why would you go after this?
Because
card?
no, I've had a total of.
Again?
So during Galactus week I used 2, and then during this week I used 2, and that's all of them.
Okay, I see.
So now I'm down to X23 Lady Deathstrike. I'm not gonna get Silver Samurai. Like I'd like it, but like I'm not spending. I don't have any caches,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And
I
I
mean, you just gotta keep gambling, Nate. Surely if you gamble enough, eventually it'll work.
I've seen.
This is what I would suggest you do, Nate. And of course, I'm not suggesting that you do this because it's going to be fun. It's just kind of the correct thing to do is you don't buy X23 because X23 is right now not performing at a top tier.
You're just mid. It's the most mid card ever. I
Yeah.
will say I like the deck safety posted earlier. Maybe we can talk about that at some point. That I think is really cool. But like,
Yeah.
it's I
I feel
It
like I'm
doesn't
off
feel
my
like
game.
you're-
Like I like
Yeah.
having. I've been playing these TCGs for such a long time, and I've
you
been at a
don't
point
you
where
don't
I like.
necessarily you don't get everything because of the power level.
Yeah.
No, but well, and there's a fun aspect of like playing with the new card, whether it's mid or
Sure.
not.
Yeah,
Now,
for
I recognize like sometimes you see a stinker and you just like Howard the Duck, and you're like, no, just not happening, right? And you're
is
like,
Howard.
I'll get it someday when it's free or I open it or whatever. But like, I don't really care. But some of them that might have potential, and then they've been buffing underperforming cards. And so if there's a card that's like, you know, so, I wouldn't be too surprised. Like say Lady Deathstrike, right? If it's not that good, maybe they'll buff it. I don't know.
Hey, Glenn was playing Lady Deathstrike. Maybe they're testing the
Hey.
waters for a buff.
I mean, just saying, but it's so awkward for me to be in this position where like
mad.
I'm like the gamer Marvel fanboy and seeing these cards like come and go and be like, I can't get that. I can't spend $200 a week on one card. That's insane. And so what do? I just wait, I guess, a long time until they maybe drop and I open them, or like I don't even know. But I'd like to get back to a point where like I'm feeling like I'm
You're
more
engaging with the new releases.
well,
Yeah,
I'm in a weird spot where it's super awkward because now I've missed cards that I wanted, and then there's future cards coming that like now I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to get those either, and I just don't know. I need like a soft reset to get myself like I need my mojo back.
What you need is to dump a whole bunch of money in to get back on the treadmill. I'm not suggesting you do that, but I think that's the
reality.
Yeah, you're either gonna skip like Silver Samurai and Alioth and wait till you get 4 caches so you can start like doing the thing to manipulate the system to get the most out of it. But that's gonna suck.
I want Alioth though. My Galactus brain is drooling over Alioth.
I don't blame you. I think that and the sad truth of it is that under the old system, it wouldn't have been this difficult for you to get the cards you want. Even if technically it's could potentially be better for you, I think that what happens in the realm of the academic versus your real world experience are two very different things, right?
Well, I've gotten burned now twice in a row, and it makes me really not like want to do it again.
Yeah, and you don't want to reward that behavior either, right? Like that's also kind of the frustrating thing. It's like, well, the whole reason they're doing this is because they know it's going to get people to shell out money for the times where you get unlucky. And so it's like, oh man, I don't really want to reward them for doing this, right?
Getting 10 collector's caches, like that takes like a week. I mean,
yeah, it takes like a week
or a lot of money. And I don't, I just like, dude, being an adult sucks. All your hobbies are super expensive. And like,
I think
don't
I
know.
asked Lee Acer this question the other day, or maybe I asked you, Nate. I can't remember. I couldn't imagine what it's like to be a child playing this game, because like I wouldn't be able to get anything. Maybe if I was lucky, battle pass only, but like
I can tell you what, my kid has been saving. My son is 11. He's been saving like caches for months because he wants Jeff. And because you open so few tokens now, he's got like 3,000 tokens. Jeff has been pinned in his shop for over a month, and like he wants
like a lifetime when you're that age, right?
Maybe even Series 3 now.
He wants the Dan Hip Jeff, super bad, and it just is not going to happen. And he has like no cards, and like is it cool to get a free Series 3 once a month? Like, yeah, I guess. But at that age, it feels very few and far between. And like, it makes him not want to engage because the rate now, here's what this game did. Like, okay, we've talked about it a lot, but like Series 1, Series 2, when you're like progressing super fast, it's an amazing experience, awesome. Right? And then you hit that brick wall, and then you start collecting like the Series 3 drops a lot slower, but it's still okay because you know like you're still getting new stuff.
Yeah, you're still getting new cards.
But once you get the bulk of those, like, why even bother? Like, it's bad. And then now with this new system, like at least before, I remember I had
just wait.
I had Galactus pinned, And I was like, well, it'll take me like a month, but I'll get enough tokens to get him. And I did, and I got it. And then I had Thanos pinned, and I got enough, like, it'll take me a month, but I'll get enough tokens from the boxes, and I'll get him, and I did. But now, my kid, it's been 2 months. He's got maybe half the tokens he needs for Jeff, with like 3 collector's caches saved up, which hopefully is enough to even pull it.
Well, spotlights.
That's
He'll
what I
have
mean,
4
spotlights.
By
Yeah,
the time it's Jeff week, because Jeff week he'll have 5 actually. By the time it's Jeff week, if he does the.
But he's not super engaged in it because the system is not rewarding, and so I try to like go in and like do his dailies so that they don't stack or whatever. Like he doesn't lose anything, but even then, like when I'm busy or it doesn't happen. Gonna have like a sad kid next week when he wants the hip Jeff and not gonna get it because
it broke. It was like the Dan Hip covenant was broken when they started gatekeeping the Dan Hip variants behind the spotlights.
Well, we talked about it last time, but putting a 700 gold variant behind a spotlight cache is just mean.
So I expected Jeff to be. I called Jeff. But I didn't think they would continue like with Hit Monkey, and they're doing it with a lot of the new Series 5 cards that are dropping. You know why they're doing it?
Well, they changed it. So it's Hit Monkey and Jeff. Initially, they had some of the other new ones as Dan Hips,
changed it
but
up?
they got changed. Yeah,
okay.
So it was like Mobius and Ravona, I think their hips were in there initially, and then an updated data mine came out and they changed. So that it's worth mentioning that the data mines we get on the spotlights are subject to change because now we have like some precedent there.
Well,
but it doesn't change the fact that, you know, Dan Hip Jeff and Dan Hip Monkey are still in there, and that doesn't feel good. And I've seen a lot of people talk about that where it's like, oh, I collect the Dan Hips and I really like them, but why are they putting something that normally costs 700 in this new thing? And they said, you know, these variants were going to be super special and unique or exclusive or whatever, and you're just putting something that's like normally available in the shop in there. Like, why are you doing that?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. When they first came out, I was like, oh my god, Art Germ Jean Grey, and like I got it. Like that's I remember because Zombies and I talked that day, and like I like went out to buy Jean Grey with
the system while you were at work.
It was great, and I got the like I bought Jean with tokens because I wanted the variant. It was rad, and like but at that time they were selling it as like these are super rare exclusive, like, and then down the line they're dropping Dan Hip variants in, and I love Dan Hip. Don't get me wrong, Dan Hip is like they're great. I love them, but like that's the thing. Pixels are 700. Dan Hips are 700. Like that's just the rule. And now you're throwing a 700 gold variant behind a spotlight cache. It's supposed to be like a special, unique, time limited thing. That just makes me frustrated and upset.
You just made that rule up. It's not a real rule. The rule is
it's like the old schedule. Oh, everyone just made up the schedule. There isn't a real schedule. God, I saw so.
Well, and just like Jeff is not actually tier 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not actually a big Jeff.
Well, you know, I think that we're gonna.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
We're gonna open some spotlights at the end of the show, and I'll do what I do best, which is I'll just no filter. I'll say what I'm feeling as I open them.
I didn't mean to be negative. I'm just
it's good to talk about your experience with it because I think as time is going on, more and more people are having similar experiences with the spotlight caches.
Blue,
it shows they need to do something to make them feel less bad.
Didn't you say, Blue, that your friend who plays super casually was like wanted high Evo or some card and only had one spotlight and opened it and got the tokens?
No.
Or am I losing my mind? Like, didn't that happen last week?
I'm sure
like somebody.
That happened. It just happened to Sheep.
Yeah, I know, but I swear, like that was in our chat over the past
friend.
week. Like I thought that happened to somebody.
I'm sure it did, but no, not someone that I know personally.
That's fine. I was gonna say I'll have to scroll and I'll find what I'm looking for. But like,
I don't remember.
It's got to be super confusing to somebody who like is more casual at the game.
Okay, I keep saying this, and Zombies always says that I'm exaggerating. I legit think the Marvel Snap min-maxing the Marvel Snap economy is more complicated than like Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail, like
Oh, it's
true
definitely more
gacha games.
complicated than Star Rail for sure. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
about Genshin.
They're,
The
they're
thing
the
that
same,
confuses me
basically.
about that game is just it has like 20 different currencies, and that's where I get confused. But I
Oh,
understand how you
unlike
pull
this,
stuff. Like I get
unlike
the
this
basic
game that has
acquisition.
20 different
No,
currencies.
this game. Look, what we have.
Tokens, gold, credits,
It's like
boosters.
4, right?
I
4 or
mean,
5.
yeah, fair enough. All right, so let's talk about the. I'm gonna brute force a segue here because you know, again, it's what I do best. I try to host the show and live up to Nate's standards, but you know,
So my
Rome wasn't
standards are
built in
low.
a
It's
day.
cool.
All right, fair. I don't believe you, but I think that while we've been struggling with the economy, we've been enjoying the gameplay. I think that
Yeah.
the meta's in a good spot, and well, for some of us, anyways, ladder has felt a little easier to climb. You know, conquest is conquest. But one of the things that we've been talking about that we were concerned with is that we don't see a lot of new archetypes introduced, and you know that's a valid concern because you're dealing with a limited card pool. Cards release one at a time. It's really hard to you know force archetypes onto the metagame when cards are released slowly and because of the things we were discussing earlier, not widely accessible. But Lambie series has been innovating for quite some time. I became quite a big fan during the Lockjaw Thanos era. But he has introduced 2 archetypes in the last few weeks that you know are doing quite well. The one we have up on the screen is his latest cook, which is taking advantage of the buffed forge to boost cards like Mr. Sinister and Brood, and then using Absorbing Man to kind of duplicate that, and kind of going both wide and tall.
It's pretty
Um,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good because you put a lot of stats on that is difficult to disrupt with traditional tech like Shang-Chi or Enchantress, which is everywhere. He's got the Luke Cage in there to kind of prevent the wide strategies from being punished by Evo, which is more popular on Conquest than it is on ladders. So, you know, some people were questioning why, and I think that was like a meta call. But yeah, really cool archetype. And the other deck that I think really took off of his was really putting Silk on the map. Silk Craven, Kitty Pride Angela, just a lot of good card packages kind of combined. So a move deck that's meta that kind of really isn't a move deck in the traditional sense, and a Patriot quote unquote deck that really isn't a Patriot deck. It's
It's a
really just
brood
a
deck.
forged
Yeah,
brood deck.
it's a brood deck. It's
Yeah,
not Patriot. The Moyen also won Twitch Rivals with it, slightly different version, but same core. He's another really good player like Lambie,
Yeah.
and it's a good deck. It's interesting because it's a bit of a high roll deck, which is why like Chavez is in there as like the deck. It
well,
feels
let's be real.
noticeably
Chavez is in there
worse.
because it's a Lambie deck, but yes.
Yeah, but I don't think if unless I
It's for
recall
some
incorrectly,
consistency though.
Lambie
Mhm.
didn't actually make this one. That's just his version of it. He
Okay,
actually
he
lost to this
popularized
deck.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he and Moyen popularized it because Moyen won it in Rivals, and then Lambie actually lost to this style of deck. I forget the name of the person who made it, but Lambie plays a lot of tournaments, and one of the decks he actually lost to was this style of deck. Not the exact list, but pretty close, I think. Same core. And that is one of the things that, like, I think put it on a lot of people's radar because the Lambie move deck was taking off so much and he got absolutely demolished by this deck. And so people were like, oh, wow, if Lambie's losing to this deck, like, and with his really good deck, there's got to be something here. Which seems like it was true because it's been really popping off. And although it's not without its counters, which is always like a good and healthy thing, because I think this deck is very
So what counters this deck? Because
anything that fills up lanes.
oh
Like
wow, so are we gonna start seeing people play junk to counter this deck? That's
it's
hilarious.
it's certainly possible. I mean, you saw me earlier tonight. I had such a frustrating time with I was trying to play Thanos Lockjaw stuff,
Uh-huh.
and I ran into someone playing a junk deck, And man, it is miserable when you play a deck that often fills up its space really quickly when they just goblin you or viper you. It's just like there's nothing you can do a lot of the time. You just have to hope they don't have it. It's really rough. So I think we're gonna see that style. If this style of deck stays popular, you're gonna see people playing that. It's really it really kind of warrants it because if they get the nut draw, like it's pretty hard to beat. I was trying Shadow King out as a counter to shrink the broods, and that worked okay. But Lambie's version runs Luke Cage, so you can't even do that versus his
Yep.
version.
Yeah. I think that it's really cool to see, innovation like this. I tend to be a pessimist, and certainly in terms of innovating archetypes, I think that a lot of creativity has been demonstrated by the community, and I guess looking, people like Moyen or Lambie, they have the reach to really kind of popularize it. And I think we're going through that phase right now where people get really sensitive around like deck credit, and who came up with the 12 first, and I should use that term popularize as opposed to create, because everyone's refining everyone else's ideas, right? So it's a
There are only so
process.
many cards, right? Like it's hard to fully accredit people in a card game like this with such a limited card pool, because sometimes it's almost impossible to know who actually comes up with what. It's just kind of like the reality.
It is funny though how you'll see, like you've seen a lot of net decking lately, and if you watch Lambie or you watch KM Best or one of these like the bigger name people, and then you start seeing these decks everywhere. I played Conquest the other day, Zombies, and someone was playing your deck. Like I queued because you posted that deck, right?
The safety deck, the Wave Arrow one.
Yes, right. So
Safety's the original Burr. I just added to it a little.
So you added Arrow to it, right?
No, he had his was Arrow. I added Miles. He forgot Miles.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways,
so I put in Miles.
I saw
that makes it yours.
I saw your post.
Sorry,
That's how it works.
Or it's yours now.
Unlucky.
So I saw your post. I built a deck, right? I jumped on Conquest, mirror match. I was like, I was livid. I was like, what is this? Like, he's my friend. You're not allowed to do that.
It's supposed to be my secret sauce. Yeah.
Like, posted on Twitter to bazillion people. Like, but I'm the only one that can.
People really liked that post. I was surprised. I posted. I got another ticket with it the other day.
People like Arrow. They want to play with their cards, and Arrow has the bads. So like when she kind of becomes niche viable, then people are gonna really, people want to play with their cards.
Yeah,
I think that's just the bottom line.
Legion.
The nice thing,
oh, sorry. Yeah, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Legion right now is everywhere because Magic is everywhere, right? And Legion shuts off the Magic lanes. Although I have won a lot of games like that, like they'll play Magic and you just end it on 6. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Legion is really good because unlike Scarlet Witch, or Scarlet Witch is difficult to run because of the stat line. Legion's got that 5/8. It's just a good stat line for a very powerful ability.
I think it's a premium with a good effect. Think about what happened with Black Bolt. And I love Black Bolt as an example because it's a card like nobody complained about Black Bolt because he used to be such a bad card, and then when Stature came out, he was good. But even when he was like objectively like the best card in the game according to statistics, you very rarely saw people complain about him. And even when he was nerfed, I saw so many people who were like, why did they nerf this card? Like, it didn't seem that crazy.
Legion will get nerfed. Legion will become a 5/7.
That's I think that's happening next OTA. On the
that soon?
That's my guess.
Wow.
Well, I could be wrong. It's purely a guess.
So here's the thing. With Legion, you know what you're going to get because it just converts it to one of the other locations. With Scarlet Witch, it's a gamble. It's like the Infinity Stone, right? The red one. And like, it could be something terrible.
Not a premium stat line, right? If it was like a 2, if it used to be a 1/2, right?
It used to be a 1/2 in beta, and it was running like every deck. It was nuts. And
even if it didn't do anything, like 5/8 is gnarly.
It's good stats. And here's the thing about Legion, and I say this as someone who's gotten like ridiculously scammed by it out of like 2 Infinity Conquest runs. With certain locations, Legion just becomes one of the best cards in the game. Like, oh, you're ahead, and there's that one location that blows up the first thing you play, or Death's Domain or something. Oh,
Right.
just slam Legion on 6, blow up your opponent's cards, you win the game. There's so many locations that will just scam the game on
Yeah.
turn 5 or turn 6 with Legion. Like, I think everybody kind of underestimated just how ridiculously powerful of an effect being able to either get rid of locations that are bad for you or make more of locations that are good for you or bad for the opponent. Like it's actually I think by far probably like the best 5-drop in the game.
Yeah, it'll get hit, I think. It's seeing this is what happens. They release the card and they're like all excited about the new card and they hype it up and then they're like, it's overperforming. We need to nerf it. Oh no, they're playing this card more than we wanted them to play it. Like, man,
They've gotten better about it though. They used to be really bad with how they nerfed cards. Like the original Arrow nerf is one of the most frustrated like moments I've ever had with the game. I was so like I was like seething. And that happened during Shuri meta too, where it's like
Yeah.
Arrow was one of the things keeping Shuri in check a little bit. And they nerfed her while leaving Shuri alone, giving Red Skull like a light pat on the head.
it's a
And
very
it was-
delicate balance. Yeah.
They've gotten better at it. It's still not perfect, as is evident by my Shauna complaints, but they've definitely
Well,
gotten better with it.
Fine for
It used
everyone
to be.
else that doesn't care about Shauna, which is, everyone
Yeah, the
but you.
majority of people playing this game.
Still mad about
Yeah.
Galactus, so it's fine.
Well, yeah.
Fair.
Well, that was a political decision more than anything. The rest of the meta though is in a pretty interesting state. So you're gonna see a lot of the deck we have up on screen. You're gonna see a lot of the Silk, Kitty Pryde Angela deck that we talked about. In addition, a deck called She-Not is seeing very good performance. That's the the deck that runs the Infinite and She-Hulk, and plays Magic. Turn
Leech.
6. Yeah,
Yeah.
it plays Leech. That's doing quite well. Black Bolt. You just mentioned it, Zombies.
Yeah, that deck's good. I played it a bunch recently.
Yeah, the old Black Bolt stature deck, the same 12 from like last month, still doing numbers. And I think that a lot of decks are a lot better than I think they're just not seeing play. And I think that our experience in climbing to Infinite this month and even post Infinite and Conquest has illustrated that we've not been playing meta decks. I think all of us hit Infinite with an off meta deck. I think me probably the most meta, although even that's kind of a bit of a stretch. So really you can kind of get away with playing a wide variety of things. Our friend Liacer hit Infinite last night playing a Wong on reveal
deck.
type
Yeah,
deck,
cool.
which is cool. So I think that even though there's some meta tyrants, it's not like it was during Shuri Red Skull where you were
No, not
really
even
penned
close.
in. So this is what frustrates me all the same, because here, Sheep's taking this all and he's like, oh, I can play off meta stuff and still be viable.
Yeah.
Except I don't have the cards to do it with.
Did Lee share his
So-
deck? I don't see it on Twitter. I wanted to see it though.
No, he didn't. Although Safety Blade gave him the deck, so if Safety Blade's still in chat, perhaps he can give us a link to it and we can throw it up on the screen. But while we do that, perhaps we can touch upon the decks we've been playing before we wrap. We've been going on for a little while, and yeah, just kind of illustrate that while there is an established meta, and I think that it's certainly diverse. There's looks like Ari Morn just linked us the deck that Lee played to Infinite.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty open. I think Sarah Control is still putting up decent numbers. Turns out that Shang-Chi and Enchantress and Scarlet Witch and reactive cards are pretty good in a somewhat settled meta. And despite being nerfed like 20 times, High Evo in multiple farms is also performing quite well. So yeah, something for everyone, which is pretty cool. So I don't know which order you queued them up because we're doing the live. So whichever picture pops up on screen
Well,
first.
let me just throw it because since Ari sent it over, here is Safety's deck for Lee because it's fun. And let me just throw it up here.
Yeah, so it's an ongoing Wong deck. And I was playing a little bit with Lee, and to me this is it's like a negative deck without negative, which is pretty cool. But instead of negative, you've got some, general purpose 1-drops like Nebula and Iceman that are just generically good. And then you've got Odin at the top end. And man, did we scam with Odin. No one respected Odin. Someone in the chat was like, well, what kind of on reveal deck doesn't run Odin? And it's like, well, you're playing on reveal. People just don't respect it. And we would make lots of white tigers or make Black Panther huge or do all kinds of nutty things. And the deck, it took him, he went from 93 to infinite in one night. Just one
Nice.
sitting.
Wow.
Yeah, so
It looks really fun, I will say. It looks fun.
Yeah, it
That
exceeded my
absorbing
expectations.
buff, don't underestimate it. The card is really, really good now.
It's maybe a little too good, but that'll level out with time.
I regret not getting the Fear Itself variant with the hammer. Like I liked that comic book series, and now that but the card was bad at the time, and now I want it. Anyways,
it's a struggle.
No Iron Lad or Nebula for Electric Sheep, so this deck is off the list. So this will be an interesting challenge. Will Electric Sheep City, as a returning player, be able to play any of the decks we feature tonight?
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a prediction here. No.
I have a feeling that Nebula and Iron Lad are in a lot, and having those.
We have a pretty diverse spread
we
tonight.
have a pretty diverse lineup.
Okay.
So there's going to be lots of cool things that you're not going to be able to experience.
I'm sorry.
I really am.
He's actually spot on.
Excellent. Question mark.
Yeah. So big congrats to Lee for hitting infinite with this, and for Safety Blade, who just is such an incredible deck innovator. I give him so much crap about his decks, but I've net decked him relentlessly to hit most of my infinites earlier this year. And frankly, the only reason I don't have to anymore is because I, for whatever reason, have been blessed with bot climbs for the last couple months, so I could play like anything and get there. Blue hates this deck. I will fully admit when I saw it, I didn't believe, but I watched the games and I watched him crush, and there were no bots either, right? He didn't get a single bot. Not one. So it was like a legit struggle to get there. So regardless of how I feel about it, the results speak for themselves.
Hey. All right.
Don't sleep on reveal. Wow, it's hard to say on.
Next up is yours, Blue. This is the Dumb Jaw deck.
Dumbest Jaw.
Dumbest Jaw with some premium variants here. You have good taste.
Yeah, so I've been a Lockjaw fan for a long time. I played Lockjaw Thanos. I thought I liked Thanos. I do like Thanos. It turns out I liked the Lockjaw part of the equation quite a bit as well. So this really isn't that special. It is a Lockjaw high Evo deck. The thing is that people have just stopped playing it.
It's a good deck. I hit infinite with this deck one time. It's good.
It's still quite good. And I think that Spider-Ham makes it really good because it gives a little bit of disruption to this deck that it very desperately needs. So when you hit Shang-Chi with Ham on 2 and you play Lockjaw on 3, you snap with confidence. So Ham is a really nice lead-in.
And Ham is the only card that I do not have from this deck.
You could sub it.
We could give you a sub. Now, the version that I hit infinite with was running Doctor Doom and Dracula. However, I noted that those were the worst performing cards in the deck. The reason why I liked Dracula was because it was a way of projecting power without being weak to Shang-Chi, with which this deck kind of is. And while I was thinking about this, both Zombies and Safety Blade were playing decks that had Wave in it, and they were talking about how Wave has just been carrying them because everyone stopped playing Wave when everyone was playing Bounce, but then everyone stopped playing Bounce but didn't start playing Wave, so Wave punishes a lot. We were playing against Zombies on stream. I don't know if it was last night or the night before. Was
2 nights
playing this
ago.
deck and queued into the Infinite, She-Hulk deck with which this kind of is weak to, but because of Wave and Odin, was able to command the flow of the game.
That's so mean.
So Wave and Odin pair really well. Odin is kind of cheeky. It can re-trigger Wasp. It can re-trigger Ham. It could re-trigger a lot of the cards in the deck. I felt like Doom just wasn't performing right now. It's very possible that it could
The
become
nerf killed him. The
Agreed.
Yeah.
Doom post nerf has just been so much worse. They really should put him back, because the only reason they killed Doom was, and they said it, their justification was they were trying to tone down the amount of lockdown strategies. But now, like, they killed one of the core lockdown cards in reworking Spider-Man. So like, I think you can very safely put Doom back to being 5 in all lanes, and then the card will probably see play again. But for now,
I
it's just way
love
too
that
weak.
this deck is not being featured on any tier lists. It's not being featured on people's YouTubes. So now I get to feel like a hipster for playing playing Lockjaw and High Evo, which are still very good cards.
What's your sub for Spider Ham?
Probably Killmonger.
Hey, I have him.
You could play Killmonger. You could play
Killmonger would be pretty good because
Doctor.
it takes out the nebulas and the sunspots
Yeah.
that are everywhere.
You could also play Doctor Doom. I know we just basically said that the card is bad, but the thing is that you've got Odin, so like Odin and Doom play well together. Although I haven't missed Odin at all. I would probably run Killmonger. Killmonger's
Wait.
just good.
Okay, I have an idea, and it might seem a little outlandish, but hear me out. So, one of the nice things about Spider Ham, right, is it's just something cheap we can throw into the Lockjaw, right? Like, yeah, it gives us information and it can take out a threat, which are like really big things. But what if, as just another good card to throw into the Lockjaw, you could consider the Evolved Shocker? Because it could hit one of your 6-drops, then it becomes a 5-drop. Or it could hit your Jane on turn 3, and then you could play Jane on turn 4. Like, I think if you want to if you still want to have a cheap thing, I think the Evolved Shocker might not be the craziest thing in the world.
No, I didn't think about that. I like the inclusion of armor as well, because you got a bunch of big stuff that all dies to Shang-Chi.
Everyone in chat saying armor, and that's a really good one.
Especially if you're gonna play it this weekend, put in armor because everyone's doing their destroy quests.
Yeah, I will say that while armor is good, I feel that like this deck is actually, with this build, Shang-Chi is less of a threat because now you've got 2 8-cost heroes that are really have really powerful effects. I feel less weak to Shang, but still, I mean, armor's good, and you usually solo a lane with Hulk. So got a few subs. So I was wrong. There is a deck that Sheep can play with compromises, because if you had Ham, you still run Ham.
Yeah,
Ham is just the absolute giga nuts.
Ham's really good. Yeah.
In fact, I think that it might be like amongst the top, if not the top 3 best cards in the game, the top 5. Like, Ham is just out of control.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
So this is what I've been playing. I don't like to think, and we rag on the deck. I think that there is still some complex decisions to make. I think that why this deck is a nice comfort pick is because the times with which you would snap are pretty well defined. So it's a good deck to grind because you don't have to really stress about when to snap or not snap, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've killed. We've beat the Lockjaw horse to death. Let's move on to the next deck.
Yeah, it's mine. It's really bad. This is what I hit infinite with. It's a it's a Modoc Hella deck.
I was there. I can, and this was before Crystal got
Yeah, this
buffed.
was with Crystal as a 4/4, just for
I
the
was
draw.
there.
Okay, so the deck is okay. Here's what you have to take it with a grain of salt, because I did half my climb on mobile, but the stats from PC, like I have a 45% win rate, but there was a bunch of 8-cuber games, and all you have to do is high roll like a god and draw the cards in the right order.
Easy, right?
So you play Invisible Woman, and then Modoc, and then Hella, and then win.
Nobody the deck falls apart so easily, but no one respects it. Like, I mean, basically you won by virtue of taking 8 off so many unsuspecting souls and a couple bots along the way. Although you had less bots than me. You played against a respectable number of humans.
Yeah, so there is Ari, there's a couple of alternate play patterns here. So Magic, the reason that Magic is in this deck is just you need to draw your cards, and you need to draw them in the right order, ideally. Magic just extends the game by a turn. Like, you don't really need, like, it's just so that you have longer to draw your thing. And that's why Crystal was there too, just for the card draw. Like, it's not for the stats. And so what you can do is, like, if I draw cards in the wrong order, you can play Invisible Woman and drop Hella behind it, and play Modoc, like, not behind it, and discard a bunch of stuff, and then Hella procs at the end of the game. And that works. Or you can play Invisible Woman and then Modoc and then Hella both behind Invisible Woman, and cry when they play Cosmo. Or the alternate win con here is Iron Man, Onslaught, Living Tribunal, all in the same lane, and Profit. And then you've got like 50 in each lane or whatever. It's nutty.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the number is, but it was good.
Now, I played something like this during the negative weekend, because you just play a Tribunal deck and then you slam Super Scroll in there. And negative
Get out of here!
just
I don't
never
even
has a
want to. I
chance.
don't even. We're not talking about this on this podcast.
It was
The skull triggers me.
yeah. So this deck, it's kind of a meme, but it was fun, and I wanted to play something off meta really bad, and nothing.
I mean,
It looks
This-
very fun. Hella's very fun.
yeah, it
Oh,
got
yeah.
you there.
And
so,
if you don't have the cards, because I saw different people, like Safety Blade posted a version that I tried with, it had Echo and a couple of other cards, and I think it was just alternate win cons, but like I just was not working for me. This is more high rolly, and so if you're missing any of the top end cards, it's just for stat dump. It's not for anything else. Like, I just wanted the chonkiest chonkers that I could find, so that I could spread out the power. Like, I didn't net deck this. I just built it. Like, I just looked at the 6 drops and I took the highest power one so that I could,
So
every
I've got
once in
one
a while.
question for you, Nate,
Yeah.
about this deck. Can ElectricSheepCity play it?
I don't know.
And Electric Sheep City has all of the cards for this
Oh,
deck.
what? Let's
No
go.
subs.
Including the Living Tribunal?
Including the Living Tribunal.
There you go. All right. So you know what? I made a pretty bold prediction at the start of this, and we're not even halfway through, and I was wrong. So there are no issues with the collection system, as evidenced by Sheep having every card in this deck.
Omega
Marble
Red.
Snap is now saved.
Omega Red is good for this deck.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
can see
that
that, yeah.
makes sense. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, totally. I mean, there's variance here. Like, I just was going for raw, like, stats. But yeah, if you drop it in somewhere, I think the must keeps, like, if you're gonna pull out a card, it's Magneto, Giganto, Infinite Death. Like, pull out one of those.
Probably Death you pull out.
I-
Right?
Probably,
Yeah.
because otherwise you'll never be able to play it. Although the number of games that, like, I got a free Death because everyone was playing Destroy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Or-
it's the Infinite then.
But whatever. I mean,
If you take one of them out, it's probably Giganto. I think.
I'd rather have
it's the most
Giganto over
annoying.
the Infinite. I feel like I've played a lot of Giganto Infinite
Mhm.
in my day, and Giganto is far more playable than Infinite. But I guess Infinite has the bigger high roll. I just hate the Infinite. I like my Giganto variant, and I don't like the Infinite. I like the variant to have for the Infinite. I just don't like the card. I find it
yeah.
very frustrating. Although it's good anti-ham tech, not as much ham on ladder as
Oh
I
my
would think
God.
that I would see, but yeah.
You love getting hammed, except when it hits Living Tribunal, then you cry. But like the
Or Hella.
yeah, if it hits one of your like key cards, you're kind of sad. And this card is super, or this deck is really susceptible to disruption. Like Cosmo is really
This
unfortunate.
deck does not keep it Cosmo.
No, Cosmo keeps this deck in line. But this is like as off meta as it gets, and it's really fun. And yeah, I Safety's version was different because I think I had some alternate win cons, and I couldn't get it to work for me because I'm like lower IQ level, and I needed something that was like super easy for me to
Safety
play.
had the Iron Lad version, which I played a ton of, and it's
I
really
just-
fun. But you do have to. It's weird. Like you'd think it'd be really straightforward, but there actually is. You have to put a lot of thought into how you play your turns with that deck.
The problem is like if you Iron Lad can cause problems, right? Because if your Iron Lad pulls like an early Modoc and you didn't want it, it's like or like there's I think some versions of this deck run Jubilee, and same thing. Like if Jubilee pulls like a giant card, it's like, oh rad, cool, I got a free Infinite. But like if Jubilee pulls Modoc or I don't know, something early Hella or something, it's like, oh, that is not what I wanted. And Jubilee stats are so low that it doesn't help your game plan.
Yeah, it's really Jubilee was really there for the extra draw a lot of the time, and now Crystal does it without that downside. So like Crystal makes a lot of sense.
It's probably better. And again, I was running this when Crystal was a 4, so and it was just for the draw, because if you don't draw, like this was interesting because if I drew the nuts, like I'd snap real early. And if you don't draw, you just get out for 1 cube.
Yeah, it's a very easy deck to learn how to snap and leave with because it's
so
very
many
clear
people
when you
stay
don't
in
have
for
it.
8s against it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I got
It's
so many 8s on this. Like I felt bad because I was spamming our group chat, but the screenshots were so funny.
Yeah. If you like a big flashy deck, this is for you. So I think that maybe like if you liked Galactus,
It's
like, I feel
a
like
Timmy deck. I mean,
Yeah.
it's silly, but I had fun with
but
it.
it works, right? So if if you're looking to scratch that kind of like Exodia Galactus type itch, I think this deck's good. I also like your portrait that you have selected. That's a good one, Nate.
Oh, I love it. That's what I'm always going to use.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
definitely.
I like the Thor Venom thing. And I always use that foils only. Foils only is my, my little,
It's a fun one.
It's your trademark. It's
It
how you
is.
can tell the real NateWolfeTCG from the imposters.
and I always use the game of the year, the gold, like yellow card back. I like that one. The only one that could get me to swap, I think is if I had that season 1 Venom card back, I'd use that. But
Yep, that's my.
I
go-to.
I didn't have the collection back then to be able to
It
push
was
farther.
hard back then too.
And it was
it's easy
hard,
to
yeah.
forget how difficult climbing used to be in the past.
Yeah.
Ladder used to be a lot harder.
Climbing in January, I have PTSD from it still. It actually, I think, caused me emotional distress. Like I'm not.
Caused me
I'm
emotional
not,
distress too. I
I'm not
hated that
joking.
season.
It was the same thing happened to both of us that season. If you remember Zombies, we both were on the negative cope bandwagon. We
Mhm.
both hit 99 playing it, and we both had a precipitous
Backslid,
fall.
yeah.
You
Wow.
fell below. You
I
fell
fell
into the
below
80s.
90. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
was.
fell to
Oh,
like
I was losing it.
90, 92. And you know what it was for me? People started running rogue for no reason. And that was happening to
No,
you
they ran
earlier
it for
tonight.
a reason. They ran it to counter it because if you can counter the opponent's Sabu, you just win the game.
Yeah, stupid. Anyways, yeah.
I think my first Infinite was back in April with the Galactus.
That's the only month that matters as far as I'm concerned. get
think
the goose, the golden goose.
Good one.
I've hit infinite every month since April.
That's pretty good. It's many
yeah,
months.
that's good. It's fun. I don't know. I like the game. Anyways, this deck is kind of a joke, but it was also really fun. So play it at your own risk. But yeah. All right, zombies. What do you got here?
Yeah, this next deck is no joke.
Oh, this is the good deck.
and
Yeah.
Deck
Yeah,
very good.
it's quite good.
Yeah, so this is Safety Blade's brew. He showed me. He was like, "Hey, this arrow deck is working," and I was like, "Say less." I want to play an arrow deck again. I've been wanting to play an arrow deck again for months. And this one makes a lot of sense. So it takes a lot of the move stuff, which really isn't a big package, right? It's like what Spider-Man, Craven, Silk, Jeff is like your main move package. You put Captain Marvel in too, and she's been good, but like not required. That's what I would say about
Can
that card.
run another 4-drop or something else there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she's good, but you definitely don't need to be running her in order to like win with this deck. But basically, the idea is you generate a lot of tempo, you put a lot of stats onto the board. You want to be winning 2 out of 3 lanes, though honestly, this deck sometimes is just winning all 3 lanes. And then you wave on 5 with a decent thing to follow it up. That's why we have so many 2-drops and miles. So we can get our wave on 5 with another stat stick, and then we close with Arrow or Magneto. That's usually enough to just win the game. Either you yoink their stuff around with Magneto while putting a big body on board, or you just arrow them away to the one lane or one of the lanes where they're already winning, or the one you just don't care about losing. Pretty straightforward. I like it a lot. I posted a video on this one today. Some people have been putting in Legion. I've been going back and forth with Ben about that one because I refuse to put Legion in this deck, even though
Legion is the Ben from Work special now. He now owns that
yeah,
card.
it's
a
and
good
admittedly it's a great card. It's a very
Yeah.
powerful card, but I don't care for it in this deck because most of the time I'm winning it's by playing Wave on 5. And if I'm playing Wave on 5, I'm not playing Legion on 5, and I'm not playing it on 6 most of the time either. So I just don't think it's necessary for what this deck is trying to do, but it doesn't make the deck all that much worse if you want to play it. Captain Marvel and Ham are like the 2 main flex spots. I think Marvel's probably more of a flex than Ham. You really value your early game with this deck because you need to be ahead to win.
Yeah.
If you're not ahead, you're not going to win.
So 2 things about this. So I didn't mention this earlier, and I should have. Darkhawk is also a very good deck. Magneto solos it. So you've seen Magneto in almost all the decks we featured. That's not an accident. Magneto is one of the best 6-drops in the game, especially when Darkhawk is a prominent strategy, which it is. The other thing that I find really fascinating about this deck, and it really makes a lot of sense, is that most of these mid-range decks will run Zabu, or the reactive decks will run Sarah. You don't run any discount cards in here. You're just really curving out. And I think that's
tech cards. I mean, I guess Wave could be. No, I guess Wave and Ham are considered tech cards. We're not running
and you
Shang-Chi,
could
we're
run
not...
Shang instead of Marvel, but yeah, I find that really interesting, and I wonder if this is going to become more of a thing when Mobius releases, because this deck
Oh man,
this deck should run Mobius. I mean, it just
if
doesn't.
this deck gets Mobius and if it works with Wave, it's so over.
I
It's
don't
like,
think it'll work with Wave, but I still think it would be very good.
I'm putting it on the record that I think it's gonna work with Wave.
All right,
and
so
Glenn had
maybe...
clarification, didn't you see it?
It was clear as mud. Why don't we? I don't think maybe everyone knows what we're talking about. So perhaps we should like pull the layer back. So zombies, maybe you can tell us what Mobius does, and then describe why we're kind of watching it with trepidation.
Yeah, we can do that. So here's the thing. Mobius reduces it makes it so your cards, they can't be increased in terms of power, and your opponent's cards can't be decreased. And that is terrifying with Wave, because if it does work with Wave, what you're going to be able to do is play Mobius on 2, Wave on 3, and then your opponent has a case of the big sad, because they don't they can all their cards that cost less than 4 cost 4, and all their things that cost more than 4 still cost more than 4. And yeah, that's what
So I don't think it's gonna work that way, and it's not because I think it shouldn't work that way. It's because of just how developers are notoriously overworked and underpaid. And when they changed Wave to override discounts and increases, right? So, like, for example, if you have a card like Death, right, it gets set to 4. If you have a card that has its cost modified because of Iceman, it goes to 4. So Wave supersedes both discounts and buffs. So it would only make sense that it would supersede Mobius. But here's the thing. As much as I think it will function that way, and as much as Zombies thinks it'll function the opposite way, the one thing that I've learned is that you never know what you can expect in Snap, right? And I've kind
yeah.
of I've kind of kept an open mind ever since Kitty Pryde, because we didn't expect Kitty Pryde to break the game. Then we didn't expect Kitty Pryde to be any good after they changed her, and she had to be nerfed. So it's like all of the things that I expected with Kitty Pryde unfolded in the way that I least expected. So even though I believe that Wave will win and not make Mobius an incredibly broken card, I would say there's still a very good chance that I'll be wrong, just because of, we never can predict. So yeah.
It's scary. Mobius.
Yep.
The thing is, even if it doesn't work with Wave, Mobius is still insane. It's just with Wave he becomes like terrifying. If he works with Wave, he becomes the best 2-drop in the game, no questions asked. If he doesn't work with Wave, he's still like top 5 2-drops. So like he's gonna be the nuts either way. He's just a really, really insane card. Like think about all the times you've played Sarah Control and you have that darn dream dimension screw you over on turn 5. Now, what if it was only screwing over your opponent? Like, boom. What if it's that location everyone loves that reduces the cost by 1? Well, not for your opponent. It's just like you can. It really messes. Also, worth noting, you know what? You know what is the season pass card next season? Loki. What does Loki do? Reduce costs of cards in your hand. It's like it's just really, really good. And I think it's by far the best card of next month either way, if it works with Wave or doesn't. But if it does, it's gonna be terrifying. Because just imagine this curve, right? Mobius on 2, Wave on 3. You Odin it on 4 while your opponent is stuck playing a 4-drop or something lower than a 4-drop. You cheat out a 6 cost on 5, you play a 6 on 6. Like, what do you even do against that? Like I'm not sure there's a deck I can think of in the game right now that can like easily deal with that. Now obviously that's the best draw. You're not going to draw that every game. But like it seems pretty insane that you would essentially get a lockout. You could lock out 2 of your opponent's turns while they're locked out and you're getting to play big 6 drops. Like it's pretty scary. He's the last card of the month, though, so we'll have to wait some time before he comes out. Because at least if the data mines are right, he is the last card of the month. So we're gonna have to wait a little while. Actually, he's like I think exactly a month away from today.
Well, it's going to be an interesting September. So if Mobius ends up being broken, I think Mobius is going to be good no matter how Mobius works.
I don't think anyone thinks he's going to be bad, right? It's just about
3,000
how he works with
tokens.
Wave or not.
Make sure you have
Hopefully
the
3,000. Like they haven't done this, but like they could do it where they could change it because remember all this month's cards were data mined as Series 5, and they were Series 5, but when they put out like the press releasing game, they mistakenly labeled I think like Deathstrike and Silver Samurai as Series 4 when they weren't. So, like, who knows? Things are always subject to change, but so far the data mines have generally been accurate. So, and I hope they are because a lot of people are feeling the pain of a month of only Series 5 cards. Because last month we had 2 Series 4 cards, and I think people were really happy about that. A lot of people picked up Legion, even Mirage, who isn't like some big meta player like Legion, but a lot of people picked her up and had fun. And I don't think they would have done that at Series 5. I think a lot of people used tokens on her. So
Absolutely not. At 6K tokens, not a chance. But at half that, like, why not, right?
it makes such a huge difference, right? Like looking at next month, that's the difference between getting to buy half of the new cards that come out that month versus being able to buy one of them, right? Like you could buy Alioth or you could buy two other cards. Obviously Loki's the pass card, so that's different, but it's just like I think they really can benefit from using these Series 4 releases more, especially when tokens are so hard to get. Like, so
Yeah.
I've been sitting on my hoard of tokens for a while, and I haven't been using them. I had like, I think I had about 50,000, and I used 6,000 of those to
50,000.
I'm
buy.
sorry, did you say 50,000?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard 50,000. This
You're fired.
conversation-
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear it.
Sheep,
50,000.
you're now the new third host.
I wailed too close to the sun.
Oh my god.
And a lot of that came from double dipping and saving my tokens over time and whatnot.
I'm sorry.
I
How
did
does
use
one
Whale a
double
lot.
dip? I would like to learn this
The
ability.
trick we did when the system came out.
Oh, I did that, and
yeah,
I'm
that
still.
gave me a lot of
yeah,
tokens.
well,
We didn't
and I-
min-max quite as hard as you.
No.
So yeah, that was
I had a
pretty
lot of
huge.
boxes saved up, so that was helpful because I'd been saving for a while. But the point is, I only used my tokens. I used tokens to buy Jean because I wanted the variant, and I got the variant through the caches. And I used tokens on Legion and Mirage. And I got some tokens back through the daily offer thing. I think I've hit that twice because it was like 9 out of 10 when the system released. So I got 2K from that, and then I filled it up again. So I got like 4K back from that. And then when I was on vacation, I made the poor impulsive decision to buy the token bundle thing or whatever. So that like refilled me back up to the top. But even having this many tokens, I try and not use them very much at all because like I know they're gonna go a lot faster than they look like. Because 50,000 sounds like a lot, and then you think, how many Series 5 releases is that? Like not even 10. Like it's
You're
they
so
go
fired.
faster than you think.
Not even 10.
It's 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 is less than 10. It's true. You heard it here first. But so
Although that's
like-
that's the equivalent of 2 Septembers, so I guess
that's the
isn't that
thing.
much.
Like I'm burning through next month. It's paying off for me, right? And that's how I can like skirt around this system a bit and not open my regular boxes too. Because it's like next month I'm buying all 3 of the cards, but I don't want to open any of those spotlight caches because they don't have anything else I want. So I'm going to spend 12,000 tokens next month getting all the new cards, and that is a pretty significant portion of my stack. Like that's not insignificant.
All right. Well, I love to hear about the adventures of Mr. 1% over here, but for those of us that are
Working class snappers.
yeah, slave wage
slaves. Yeah.
wage slaves. I have 4 spotlights to open.
Oh yes. All right. That's good to close the show out with. Then we'll all cry and then we'll be done with it.
Or we'll
Okay,
celebrate when
so-
he high rolls her on the first cache.
All right.
Yeah,
well, let me.
I want.
Can
I
I?
want-
Well, Nate will probably.
Hold
cry
on.
if
Can
that
I?
happens.
I'll be happy for you if you do it. I'll be
Someone
happy
will
for
cry.
you. Can I share this on the screen though? Do you mind? Is that cool?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it. Let me just whip it up for you audio listeners. I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to like watch it on YouTube or something because
You'll be able to
I'll
hear.
narrate it. Yeah.
all
all right.
Spotify
so,
actually lets you put up the video version now, which is cool.
Oh,
I
I've been
didn't know
doing
that.
it. I've been doing it for a long time on ours. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. I saw that the other day. I was like, oh, pretty neat.
So I have a question. Just like I wasn't really sure about how the no duplicate protection worked. So let's say I open up X23 on my
Mhm.
first box, and then I decide to open a second box. Could I get the
Oh.
X23 variant, or do I have to
No.
open
You have to
everything
get
else?
through the other contents in the box before you get the.
So they have
the
duplicate
access to it.
protection within the 4 things you can get, but not with the roles that the 4 things could provide.
Yeah, well, it's I wouldn't even look at
Mhm.
it like duplicate protection. It's basically like the game sees you have 4 things in a bag,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
the
You're
little
right.
analogy they did.
Yeah.
And when one of the
And
things is out,
and it will
it,
disappear up here as I get them out.
Yes.
yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay,
So you
all
can
right.
see the 4 things. So honestly, and I'll still stand by this, even with X23 being kind of a mid card. I still think this is like the best week in terms of like the variants. The variants are really nice.
What happens if you open
And
up a
card
fifth
quality
one?
too.
Like if
So when
See,
you open up
that's why I
4,
opened a spotlight cache.
Yeah.
these
Oh, sheep, I'm so sorry.
so once
It's
you get
okay.
through the 4, right, it replaces it with another thing. Now I think I could be wrong about this, but I think how this works is if you opened the spotlight variant, that just doesn't get replaced in the next bag. I could be wrong about that. It could just be another random roll. I'm not entirely sure. That might be how it works because
Wait, and so
I've
if you
never like done this
if you buy
that far.
X23 with tokens, then
Then the
it,
variant pops up instead in
Yeah.
it like
Yeah.
actively updates.
So if your son wants to get the Dan Hip Jeff, the best way
You
to do
could-
it
yeah.
would be to buy it with tokens and then get
yeah.
it.
Then roll
I
for
know
it.
that's like not that is a very
He's not going to
expensive
get
prop.
to 6K tokens by the time it comes
Well,
out.
well,
Yeah.
he's if he
Unless-
wants to spend money, then yeah.
unless Papa swoops in with the most powerful card in Marvel Snap, the
Oh.
credit card, which I've been doing my best to reduce considerably because
Same.
there's a lot of real life going on and it is unfortunate. Okay, so
Mhm.
all I want is X23. I like the 2 variants, but I don't want them because these things are so precious. I have 9 of them. I really don't want this.
No.
The Electric Sheep City pull right here.
That was my
Oh,
first
the
poll
random.
too.
Yeah, dodge the random.
All right.
That was me
So
too.
I'm about to open my first spotlight cache and I feel anxious. I feel nervous. I feel that nervousness in the pit of my stomach.
You should close your eyes and just hear how everyone
and
reacts.
I actually I'm not exaggerating. I feel uneasy about this. I really don't want to click on this, and I'm starting to regret my decision to do this. So here we go. All right, so we got the silk variant. So
All right, good variant.
I mean, I really like this variant. I really like the other variant too. I suppose I'm happier to see this than I am the random card, but I'm not happy that this is X23.
Yep.
All right.
There's a slight delay too, so give it a few seconds before you say what you got. Or I guess it's because no, maybe there's not. Maybe it's because I'm watching it through the stream. I'm dumb.
Yeah,
I am
watch it in
dumb. Ignore
Discord.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm like
Now you're double fired. Like, come on. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, so now we're gonna open up spotlight number 2. Now, if I get X23 here, I'm gonna be left with 7 spotlights. I'll feel pretty good about that because I'll get back to 8 pretty quickly, which is the magic number. So
Yep.
I'm gonna click on it. Here we go, number 2.
Oh,
So I got the random, but it didn't pop
it
up.
didn't pop up.
It
Go
didn't
see if you have more
disappear.
tokens. That
Yeah,
could
so
be a
I had
visual
16.
bug.
I had 16,000 tokens, so now I probably have 17,000. So I go to my shop.
It didn't even
scroll-
pop up. Oh,
No,
Scroll
none,
down
Paul.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got 1,000 tokens.
wow.
Oh, a
So
little low
The
roll.
sheep
Well,
special.
yeah, the
still have a
sheep
chance to
specials.
redeem yourself.
So now I basically am convinced I'm gonna have to use all 4, which feels really really bad. All right, so let's go with number 3. At this point, now like I kind of want the Nebula
Yeah.
variant because like it's like I lost already. Like I'm resigned.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Visual bug again.
I didn't pop up.
Yeah, I don't know why. It maybe I've never seen this happen before. Weird.
I could relaunch the client. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So you have 6 remaining.
So I have 6 remaining.
Now you have to
So-
ask yourself, how much do you like this nebula?
So I'll show you the one I have. Because if I didn't have a good one, I probably would just do it, right? Like with Ham. Because
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the Rian
I love
Gonzalez.
collecting the Rians. They're my favorites.
So I have this one.
Oh, you got the
Oh, the
This
hip.
one's
Yeah.
good.
I've got that one too. I like it.
Yeah, no,
So
you're fine at that point.
pound for pound, I actually like the Rian one better,
Mhm.
but not
Yeah,
not a
Not
spotlight
at
better.
that price. Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
And I
Yeah, the
don't
boxes are
play this.
so rare, right? Yeah.
I don't play this card a whole lot. I mean, and when I do, even if I did, I think this is totally fine,
Yeah, the
right?
Danhip's good. I mean, Nebula has a ton of good variants. If it wasn't a Rian one, I wouldn't have gone for it, honestly.
So
Because
that
I like the past
experience
one.
was awful. And
Yeah.
not only was it awful, it didn't even display properly.
Yeah.
I don't care so much about that, but that cost me three spotlights to get X23. Next week I'm going to be opening up potentially up to 4 spotlights, although 2 would be optimal, one for Silver Samurai and one for Kitty Pride. That would probably cost me another 4, which will leave me with 2, and well, nothing in September I want to open with, so hopefully
That'll get you another 4 built back up if you don't spend at least 4.
if
I don't know
I
what the
only get
exact
Battle
map
Pass.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like maybe I really don't know the exact number. I just know it's like roughly 1 a week. It might be slightly more than 1 a week, but I haven't been opening my regular boxes, so I don't have extra credits coming in outside of the passes.
Yeah, that didn't feel good at all. I don't care what anyone says, that was to my advantage. Having 6,000 tokens to just get the card I want, a la carte, felt better.
Mm.
Mhm.
So this experience felt worse than me buying Ghost for 6,000 earlier this year or late last year, whenever he came out, and then it not being great than what we just went through, because I feel like I didn't buy 3 cards here. I feel like I bought 3 cards here instead of 1, because
Mhm.
those
Yeah, you got
chests
1 card for the price of 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah,
feels
yeah,
like.
yeah.
3 times value.
I got
Yeah.
1/6 of a card for the price of 1.
Oy.
There you go.
Yeah, see this yeah, it feels super bad. I'm in the same boat. Like I two for 2 now, like just bad pulls, and I'm
Safety. So I like to bring up safety's example because it goes against like all the pro spotlight propaganda. Safety did
Pro
everything
spotlight propaganda.
Safety did everything you're supposed to do. He saved up his boxes. He only opened when he had 4 or more, and he only opened on weeks where I believe there were like 2 things he wanted. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's pretty accurate. And he had to open 4 both times. And
oh
now he's down 8
jeez.
spotlight caches, and it feels terrible. It feels absolutely terrible. And those times when you high roll, I don't think are going to make up for those times when you low roll in terms of feeling, because the human mind is a fickle thing, and we remember those negative experiences like 5 times more than the positive experiences.
Yeah.
So it's really, and then it's even more annoying because then you get the people, and he's told me a bunch of people have done this who are like trying to write off your experience because they high rolled and had a good experience.
Oh, I hate that. It's like, well, I could see why you'd be upset, but it worked fine for me, so you can
So
all.
it's
Oh, snap.
Yeah. I love that attitude. And in life in general, it's like, how to identify if you're
Oh,
person.
snap.
That's probably a pretty good indicator.
yeah, it's just unfortunate, and you know, all I can say to those people is I hope it takes you 4 boxes every time.
And normally I don't take joy in other people suffering, but in this case, I'll make an exception.
that's it's just
A little
it's
karma,
karma. Yeah.
Yeah.
I must say,
reverse
I'm a
Uno.
I'm a frequent Schadenfreude enjoyer, so
Are
I
you?
I
Yeah.
approve of that.
I guess I am too. I just, I really, it really bothers me when it's like, well, I could see how that would be upsetting, but I got mine, so, oh well. And anyways, sorry, a rant that probably wasn't necessary, but things that trigger me. So I'm putting together my X23 deck here, and I'm just putting in like packages of good cards. Oh, I need Dakin for this week, right?
Yep, Dakin's the quest. So, oh yeah, and we can mention the weekend quest really fast because I don't think we mentioned it really. The weekend quest this week, Devil Dinosaur. So this is a welcome improvement from prior weeks where people were not too happy when Nimrod was the credit mission,
Right.
because a lot of people didn't have Nimrod, and what a coincidence! Nimrod was in the spotlight caches that week. Wow, that's uncanny. Yeah, I wonder how that happened. And then
Yeah.
the other week it was negative, and a lot of people don't like Mr. Negative. I love it, but a lot of people don't, and it's also a Series 3 card, so like not everybody. We like to think as the engaged players, like, oh, Series 3 is budget, but there are a lot of people who don't have Series 3 cards. So it's nice to see that for this week's credit quest, it is 10 wins with Devil Dinosaur, and you get 500 credits, which is, I believe, the largest credit amount we've gotten, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's usually been lower. X23 token rebate, I think it was 4 wins with her, and you get 300 collector's tokens. And then Dakin, this is the big one. They have finally listened to our feedback, and it is no longer 15 wins. It's down to 8, which is still a lot, but it's a lot less than 15. Because, I mean, I can tell you, I was trying to get it done at the last minute last weekend because I forgot about it, and I just didn't get it done. 15 wins was too much because I don't really play Dakin very much. And it's only 150 gold. That's not very much, but I mean, you gotta take what the game gives you if you can, because it doesn't hand out gold very often.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got Kitty and Angela, I've got Colleen and X23, I've got Silk and Craven. I put Dakin in here because, well, only because of the
Just get it
quest.
done.
Well, I
I
mean,
put
we
Miles
may as well put
'cause-
Devil Dino in.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I will for the
Get
top.
3 birds stoned at once.
Okay, but like the problem is Dino really doesn't go
No,
well with
Dino
this
would be
deck.
really,
No,
really
I'm
bad.
So I'll have to do Dino separately. Although ironically, the credits are pretty sweet. What else do I want in here? This kind of seems really like I need something like chunky, right?
You want Killmonger for your X23, your Dakin Blade, blow up opposing 1-drops.
Yeah,
That's a good
Monger's
one.
always good.
And at that point, like, why don't we just make this? I mean, you could just make this a Sarah deck and throw in Sarah and Shang-Chi and call it a
Do I
day.
really need Sarah in here though? Like
Maybe
everything's
not. I
so
don't
cheap
know.
already.
Yeah, just throw in Shang-Chi and then Chavez for consistency, and boom, you got yourself a deck.
Is this really a deck?
Honestly, you have the move package and you have Shang-Chi, so yeah, it'll
Oh,
probably win a lot of games off of just that alone.
thank you for the big raid, Lee. I hope you had a great
Oh,
stream.
raid.
You'll be pleased to know that we featured your deck that you piloted to Infinite earlier in the episode. So
We
you
did.
can catch that in
Yeah.
the on the YouTube or on Spotify or wherever it is that you listen to Born to be Cosmo and Born to be Blind. Right now, we did a little bit of a social experiment. I opened up collector reserves, or spotlight caches, excuse me, to try and get X23, and I had to open 3, and one of them was 1,000 tokens. So it felt really, really awful.
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation, it felt really good that I didn't get the tokens. So that balances out, right? That's how it works.
Do you know the funny thing is, like, I don't
Nope.
I don't even mind the tokens that much because they're so hard to come by. But like it still is
It's like
still,
a pittance.
It's
right?
still
like
bad in terms of like getting what
it's a third of a card or a sixth of a card. Like it doesn't feel good. I mean, does it feel better than when it was giving us a random variant? Sure. When I opened my first batch of 4 during the what's it called, the Gene Week, I ended up getting my first pull was Kitty Pride, which turned into a Cable variant. Now, I don't know about all of you, but I don't really play Cable very much. And this was before they actually buffed him back, so he's a little bit less terrible now and doesn't always steal Chavez. But it felt really bad. And so 1,000 tokens comparatively, is it better? Sure. Does it still feel really, really bad? Yes, 100% of the time.
Oh yeah, no, I'd rather have 1,000 tokens than a random variant that I'm never gonna play. I wish, you know what, like there's two things that they could do to fix this system. One, if it prioritized the new card, it'd just be busted. Like it'd be amazing, right? And two, if it didn't take freaking 10 collector's caches to get to one spotlight, if they made it 5, it'd be fine. I mean, I know I keep beating this drum, but I just
The thing
it's
is,
like,
and I'd want them to do that, but I think if they made it 5, I think people end up filling out their collection really fast. So they'd have
that
I don't
heaven
think it's a
forbid people have the
realistic,
cards. Like, oh
well,
god,
we know that's against their design philosophy, right? Like, I don't like it. You don't like it. None of us
that's
like
like
it.
the stupidest design philosophy I have ever heard.
I know,
and like,
that's why
Design
it's an
philosophy is
uncollectible
you
card
play, yeah, play with half a deck.
It's so dumb, but it's so accurate, right? Because like that's been my experience and my longest term frustration with the game, right? Is in beta we had one thing we wanted them to improve, and that was agency over your collection. I did my whole pool 3 experience with no token shop, no agency, and it was crap. It was not fun. It was not interesting. I always got to look at these cool decks and be one card that was important short, and had to play with a budget version that was worse and felt bad. And it was so frustrating. And then the
Same.
token
It
shop
was
came
miserable.
out. Yeah, it sucked. It like nobody liked it, and everyone gave that point of feedback of and it was especially bad when cards were broken. Like when Ghost Rider used to cost 3 mana and Sif was 2 mana. Oh, and 2 mana Hell Cow. If you got those cards early when they were unnerfed, it was
Yeah.
just it was a free ride to infinite. Like you can't compete with that. There's no replacement. So that was dumb. And then we get the token shop, and for all its faults, the original token shop actually gave us agency. And what have they done over time since we got that token shop? Nothing but take agency away from us. They made it so, oh, you can't buy regular Series 3 cards in there anymore. You have to gamble for them now. 1K tokens for a random one. They made it so now you have to gamble in the spotlight caches. Even if you have forwards, you're still gambling for it. You're just hoping you high roll. They've made it. It seems like very deliberate design at this point, that they don't like us having agency. And as long-term card game players, agency is what we want. And we are fundamentally at odds, and that still remains to this day, I think, the biggest issue with the game. And it all stems from the fact that they don't they haven't figured out the most effective way to like properly monetize their collection system for the part of the player base that has everything or almost everything.
Based on their comments, I think that they feel that the collection system is part of the game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. For a lot of people, it is. Like, I would argue, in terms of like casual players, just random people, like, hey, I like the Marvel IP. I saw this game in the App Store. It's rated very highly. I'll try it out. This is a character collecting game as much as it is a card game. And for some people, it's more of a character collecting the game than a card game. So for those people, it's a feature, not a bug. But if you're coming as like a card game first kind of person, you're just like, why is it doing this thing that literally no other card game like is a problem with? And it's tricky because on one hand, I think the game is really enjoyable free to play, because compared to a lot of other games, especially thinking of like Magic Arena, it takes eons to build up enough resources to build a deck. It requires all these resources. In Snap, the agency is a problem, but they give you so many cards, you can usually make something work and have fun. And that's why I think it's such a successful casual game, is because a lot of the people playing it aren't card game people, or it's their first card game and whatnot. And I think it's really successful in that aspect. It's just, it becomes very frustrating if you're someone who's already a card game person, likes brewing decks, like having options to like all the cards and whatnot. They don't want you to run out of stuff to collect. And my reason for that, or their reason, I think, is because they probably have noticed a trend that when people have everything, they don't spend as much money.
Yeah, but there's like 8 bazillion variants, and they're good variants. Like,
oh look,
so that's what.
Hey.
So
I
like,
played a game, and now it's
Now
telling
it
me
popped up.
I got Silk. Yeah.
oh wow,
Now I got 1,000 collector tokens, and now I got X23.
It was just
What?
delayed, It was just a little delayed.
By the way, that pile I put together, I guess I was playing against like Deadpool 1 like kazoo,
Captain America gamer.
and I played Killmonger. After I snapped and played Killmonger, and they stayed in. They tried to beat me with Chavez. I feel pretty bad, but a win's a win, right?
Hey,
Hey, everyone has to earn their beats and learn that Zoo is an unplayable archetype
It's only
sometime.
4 games with X23.
Yeah,
8 games
no,
with Dakin, 10 with Dino. Ugh, you know what I'm gonna? I don't even know what I'm gonna do for
just
Dino.
throw it in Lockjaw.
hey, there you go.
I
That's
want
the
to play.
solution to any time you don't like a quest. Just throw it in a deck where one card is not overly impactful, and there you go.
Yeah.
No, I want to play with the new card I just spent like $150 on, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh
crazy.
God. Well, let's wrap up the show, and then we can get up to more shenanigans if we feel like it.
Sounds good.
So Nate, in the spirit of rapping, tell the fine denizens of the internet where they can find you. Online.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at NateWolfeTCG. It's NateWolfeTCG. We also do a wild podcast typically on Friday evenings called Born to Be Wild. We had a really cool week this past week where we got to interview the Hearthstone devs about the new wild exclusive expansion that's coming out this coming week. So that's pretty cool. BornToBeWildHS.com and on Twitter at NateWolfeTCG. Very cool. Thanks for having me. I love doing the show. I love hanging out with you guys. Great friends. And I know I was really looking forward to doing the show because I've been so busy. Like a lot of times we'll hang out in the Discord during the week, and this week I just could not. We were talking about playing Diablo sometime, and I just like last night I'm sitting here thinking about Diablo while I was working until midnight, and it's like just could not happen. So very grateful to be hanging out with everyone tonight.
Very good.
Zombies. Likewise, Nate. Where can people find you, Zombies?
Yeah, so you can find me Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. That's the holy trinity of card gaming for me. I like to post decks on Twitter quite a bit, and I've started doing more YouTube stuff again, trying to put a bit more effort into it, and it's been fun. So if you want more Snap content stuff, check me out there. Same name as it is on screen. ZombiesGoNomNom. Twitch, it's Zombies with a Z. Maybe one day I'll eventually be able to change that. Although then, I don't know. We'll see. Someday it'll be consistent, possibly. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. And ElectricSheepCity. Where can the fine folks of the internet find you?
Yeah, I can be found around the internet at ElectricSheepCity, places that fits like Twitch and Blue Sky, and at ESheepCity at places where that doesn't fit like Twitter.
Excellent. And it was a lot of fun to have you here, Sheep. I know it was a very impromptu show and an impromptu appearance, but it was really nice having your perspective. And yeah, thank you for joining us. I hope to have you back.
Thank y'all for having me on. It was a blast getting to hang out with y'all again and getting to talk about this game that I really enjoyed playing back in the day and I'm looking forward to diving back into.
Excellent. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/BLUETRANE. And you can also find me on Threads. However, instead of BLUTRANE, it's Pipe3 because apparently people like to take names on Instagram and Threads and hoard them.
People like blue trains.
Yeah. So experimenting with that app a little bit because, you know, X is, well, it's X. So yeah, you can find me there. And I want to thank everyone who hung out on stream, who's listening to us on YouTube, who's listening to us on Spotify or Anchor. Thank you for tuning into us. You know, we do this for fun, and it's a privilege to be able to share this with you. Until next time, we all come together. Keep it Cosmo, and hopefully the good times keep rolling on with Snap.
Keep it Cosmo.
Keep it Cosmo.
Keep it Cosmo.
Enough said, bub.